I have some PG tips here, you ninny.
Oh my god, I got a spot of tea, shepherd's tea, hen.
All right, it's tea time. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to Roast Mortem. It's the only show worth citing on any research paper that you do. I'm Tom.
Or pickup lines. I'm Travis.
I'm Adam from Houston.
Adam from Houston, from Who Gives a Shit podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm a huge fan of your storytelling, your show. An honor to have you, sir.
I'm happy to be here. You are a podcast that I never missed, that I have tackled the backlog on and have taken certain episodes and listened to dozens of times just to try to absorb everything because it's so fucking insane. I get what your podcast is trying to accomplish, and I love it.
Oh, thanks.
I
mean, as long as we got someone's dick wet, and you mentioned before we started rolling, you've used us for pickup lines. I just want to know more. Did you get laid?
Yeah, I did.
Fuck yes.
Good.
We're changing the world, Tom.
Not that day, but it set the hook.
Whew.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I said that. Going after cougars is a time-honored American tradition. Benjamin Franklin wrote about it.
Yes, he was a player.
It's real history right there. He was a fan of the French, as we know. That means that he likes
syphilis, family issues, family drama out the ass.
Right, dude. Well, that's like, French kissing with your penis and a vagina. It's going to happen.
Mamma mia, mon ami.
Did Iceberg Slim commit any mail fraud?
That's a good question. I don't know. He was smart enough to. That's what I gathered from this. I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah. Well, he said he had an IQ of 175. I mean, I wonder how accurate that shit is.
Well,
but
look,
a dude's got a lot of snap, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I will tell you this right now, right off the top, before we even get into our character, that he lied about that one. That's for sure. Because the the prison records where he took his first IQ test said that he was just hovering over 100, which is technically above average.
My IQ is 95, according to Texas, or the Texas Department of Criminal Justice.
Do they have like different IQ tests state to state?
Yeah. They make you take IQ tests, but here's the deal. I know if you had a high IQ, if you get in trouble, they're going to tell you that you're too smart to be getting in trouble. So I bombed my IQ test on purpose.
Damn.
Fuck yeah.
I believe that because you sound very smart often. And,
Wait.
I feel
man, I'm so smart, I'm stupid, man. It's a conundrum that's got me in trouble many times.
Before we get into Iceberg Simpson, what are we doing? I don't even know who this man is.
Oh yeah. So,
but the most important part of the show, the reason why people tune in. I'm stealing it back, Tom. I'm stealing it back.
Fine.
How's your week, Adam? How has it been?
Oh, my week has been fantastic. So, a week ago, I went on a naked bike ride around Austin. That was fun. We were protesting fossil fuel use and I think promoting body positivity or some shit like that. But really, it's just a way to see some bouncing titties on bicycles for about 10 miles.
Fuck yeah. Wait, hold on. But I'd imagine there'd be some type of weird chafing on that. Or ball smacking on the seat.
Man, I was saddle sore for a day and a half, actually, and I had to drive back to Houston after all that shit, so my ass was kind of like,
yeah. That's why I do naked skateboarding.
You should probably, preparation H the seat, right? So you've just got it ready to go.
You did
Preparation H a petroleum-based product. I don't think we can do that at this protest or something.
Well, yeah, then you'd be supporting Shell and big oil.
Well, you know what? The elastic waistbands, I believe that's also a product of that. So you are doing what needs to be done. Body positivity, I can take it or leave it.
But here's the thing. What's so great about this is on the sly a non-body positive event. Because of the length of the bike ride, it kind of precludes out people that are so obese they're not going to be able to make that type of bike ride. So the chicks that come to actually go on this ride at least have a certain modicum of a BMI.
Yeah, no, that's
fantastic.
Yeah, that's some fucking passive aggressive body positive. Right
There's some galaxy brain maneuvers that get pulled in Texas sometimes, man.
It makes you want fuck terraforming Mars. Let's just move all the nude beaches up on pyramids, so you got to do a nice hike.
There's a nude rock face over on the edge of Lake Travis that's it's right next to everything. And I'm like, what? There's just there's just naked people running around. It's kind of like a state park of some sort or something like that. And it's just there out in Austin. There's a bunch of like, there's a bunch of really nice areas out there. Like, Austin's a beautiful place. I can see why Joe Rogan and Elon Musk went out there.
Well, Lake Travis, that's my tub. A bunch of naked people show up in my house, and we hang out in my bathroom.
Yeah, the primordial Travis filled that lake full of shrimps and ate them all.
Yeah, baby!
Fantastic. Well, speaking of Lake Travis, how was Week Travis?
Oh, Week? Caso de Weeko de Travis?
Yes.
Well, back in New York, as you may or may not be able to tell, this is an audio podcast.
Yeah,
but I'm seeing Adam over here. I'm seeing Alexis, Texas.
Yes.
Adam from Houston, but I'm next to my buddy Tom.
Yeah,
it's good to see you.
Touching me on the shoulder, and that's weird.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
I'm going to be upstate. I'm going to be doing a little bit of house hunting, trying to make sure my mom doesn't live on the streets.
I mean, you live in Portland. You could just move out there.
I could, yeah, free housing out there. You know, but
there's a tent, Mom.
Yeah, we're going to go up to I was almost said it by the slang name. We're going to Kerhonkson, which is now known as the Kerhamptons.
Kerhonkson. It's a terrible place.
It's nowhere near the water, so I don't, But Kerhamptons.
All right. What makes you want to go up there? Don't worry about it. It was just beer.
Just spilling beer. I wanted to go up there because, I just want to be able to shoot a bow and not have to worry about killing a homeless man.
All right. Respectable.
Yeah.
I would be indifferent to that.
Tom, what about you?
Oh. I almost drank myself to death last night. So,
damn.
Yeah, I stopped drinking during the week, which I thought would be good for me, but apparently I'm an asshole. So I doubled down this Friday, and yeah.
You should have taken the extra step and sworn off shotgunning, too.
Dude, I am only on brown now.
That's his problem.
Yeah, I have been drinking monkey shoulder, things that a man shouldn't be drinking the way I did drink it. So I'm gonna try something here. I'm gonna try to turn a new leaf and be one of these guys who doesn't drink for a while and see what happens. I've never actually done that. I've promised myself I would try it. So I'm gonna go.
Just try some Phenibut hydrochloride.
Yeah, you're the guy, Adam. You're the one that's like intrigued me about Phenibut. Can't you get it from like Walmart or some shit?
They used to sell it on their website. Like you could get it like 2 years ago. But yeah, cosmonaut drug does all the stuff you like about alcohol without all the bad stuff about it. Other than you can't really do it every day because it's addictive like alcohol is. But yeah, look that shit up. Fucking the cosmonauts took it so that they wouldn't be shitting themselves whenever they shot off these rockets made out of duct tape and rust.
Right.
They had to be able to hold their shit together. It's like it gives you the drunk brave stuff. So
I need courage.
I'll tell you what's a really good thing for a party: a little bit of Phenibut and then coffee, just so you're kind of chatty and fun.
Right. I'm the guy who goes to every party with a coffee and a 12-pack or a bottle of liquor.
You do?
Yeah. Every time I go to a party, I will bring a coffee.
And Tom, I'm also very upset because I show up and you're not drinking with your buddy.
I know. The guilt does set in that instance, but I will entertain you. I will drink more coffee than you've ever seen. I'm gonna go the lengths to make sure this is a good show. I'm not gonna let it get in the way. In researching Oliver Reed, I realized I had something in common with him, is that I don't like being sober at all. I really hate it, so I need to come to terms with it, so at least I don't hate it as much. Maybe just live in it.
Get this cosmonaut drug Adam's talking about.
Well, that's what I'm going to do at some point. I don't know if I'm going to jump on that immediately, but I will be asking details, Adam.
All right, I got you.
Yeah.
So Tom, Sober Tom. That's your new nickname.
That's my new name.
Sober Tom.
Business Tom.
Business Tom. Without further ado, we mentioned Iceberg Simpson. Who are we doing?
Yeah.
Iceberg Slim is fucking in heaven. This dude is awesome.
Yeah, this is a good one tonight. And he's the world's most celebrated pimp, Iceberg Slim. My first introduction, I think a lot of people's first introduction about our age, was a Dave Chappelle stand-up, where he talks about a section of his first book, Pimp.
Pimp!
This is what the man is known for, not just pimping, but the way he writes.
Did he ever get on someone's couch and be like, I'm Rick James, I could touch my couch? I'm Rick James!
Yeah, that's spot on.
Yeah.
Really is.
Is Charlie Murphy going to have to slap a bench?
Yeah.
Well, he was known to be snorting lines and shit like that, so I'm sure he's fucked up someone's couch for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So I'm all on board.
For sure.
Was he in Half Baked?
No. Who's that?
No.
Samson?
Cat Williams is more like Iceberg Slim. I'm trying to think of who else. A pimp named Slickback is Iceberg Slim. Like, he's like the stereotype of a pimp. I mean, they based the stereotype of a pimp off this guy.
Yeah, because with his first book, he was able to kind of show the public what that seedy underground was like. He got really gritty with it. He was hard on the details. It's strange because it had an effect on people where some people wanted to get into that lifestyle. But the idea of him writing the book was to be kind of a warning. Like, don't do this. Like, look at all the shit that I had to go through and how cruel I was and how terrible I feel now. And it had this weird effect in, like, in culture where you got guys like Snoop Dogg in a documentary talking about how great he was. But then, like, look at the shit that he released. And it's all glorified pimping shit. Like, he's the cautionary tale. But, I don't know. People like to take messages how they do.
Yeah, but pimps or hoes have vaginas. And when you're the pimp, you get to test them out. You get to test your product out.
Not if you're good.
But he also talks about, like, the economy and shit like that, because he's doing this shit during the Depression and stuff. And he doesn't really lean into it that hard, but it is mentioned. And so times are tough, and he's pimping hard, dude.
For sure. So, let's see. This man did a lot of damage in his younger years. That's kind of like the premise of the books, as we mentioned. He becomes this character in in the black literary world, kind of overnight, and he stirs some trouble later on with the books, and it's interesting how everything plays out. So, without further ado, let's just do this fucking show.
All right, so we're dealing with black literary Jack Kerouac of pimps.
This guy did a lot more work than Jack Kerouac. I'll tell you that.
Cool.
So he's born Robert Lee Maupin Jr. Fucking Jr.
Robert Lee Maupin?
Maupin.
Okay.
August 4th, 1918, in Chicago, to Robert Maupin Sr. and Mary Brown. Now, these two are total shitheads. His father proposed tossing the little iceberg lettuce on a church step at some point, and his mom wasn't having that. She's like, no, I don't care that you gamble too much. You have to take care of this kid. So, what's the stereotypical thing? He throws the kid against the wall and goes, I'm fucking out of here. So you have a mother in a terrible situation right off the bat, borderline homeless, with his little baby boy.
They were homeless.
Yeah.
They were out on the street for a second. As soon as she had him in her hands, she was going around offering to perm women's hair until someone let him stay over there. And then that's how she got just enough money to not be homeless for the time. They found a hotel.
Yeah, that was like a very short-lived thing, and I'm happy for them that it panned out where she was able to use her trade. She was a really good hairdresser, and knocking door to door with this little kid in her arms.
Did he get his name from the lettuce, or did he get his name from or the Titanic?
Yeah, well, they called him Iceberg because he's the captain of the ship.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't even know.
Are we going to get into that?
I actually missed that. So Iceberg, he doesn't call himself Iceberg.
No, I totally made that shit up.
Yeah, I was going to
say. He was called Iceberg because there was a shootout that happened in a bar, and the bullet went through his hat while he was sitting there drinking a beer, and he just finished drinking his beer like nothing even happened.
Yeah, and that might have been fabricated.
And they said, damn, that's ice cold. He's like, oh, I like that.
He was obsessed with being cold.
Okay, well, but I was just gonna say, if you had to pick a salad, because all right, times are tough, right? I mean, for this family at the time, you probably go with Iceberg, the cheapest of the salad leaves, right? Right?
I mean, on Christmas, otherwise you're getting water salad.
But here's a question I want to pose. If you had to pick a lettuce, what would you pick?
We're never going to get through this fucking show.
No, we are. I just want to know what's your lettuce choice.
If romaine.
Romaine, my dude.
Okay, that's
you're going to say rocket like a fucking freak.
I don't eat rocket.
No. You got to steal from 8 different places, but if you can get a Caesar salad together, you are making it in fucking the Great Depression.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I eat modern food. Not depression food like sugar on a piece of bread. So I don't know. I like to have fun with arugula and shit like that. Keep myself regular, dark stuff, you know?
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, as my favorite salad, because we're going into depression, I'm trying to set the scene for you, Tom.
Thanks.
One of my favorite... America doesn't really have that much cuisine that is American, but meatloaf is there, which is my favorite salad.
Spoken like a true American.
Yeah.
When he was 3 years old, he was sexually assaulted by his babysitter, a woman named Mauve. She used to just take his little 3-year-old head and just mush it in there, and that's
gross.
Be traumatizing.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah, not good.
Who was the person we did that had that? Oh, was it Alan? No, William S. Burroughs, another writer.
Oh yeah, his what was it? His nurse there. Used to make him ding dang.
You hear that? If you would like to have your kid become a famous American author, we have a tradition.
We have a time tried tradition of getting your kid sexually assaulted so you can retire.
If you want to be big pimping, you got to get your practice in early or something.
Yep. Yeah,
that's terrible. Sexual assault.
Well, either way, that dark cave of misery probably sent him in a bit of a traumatic way. Mary moved Iceberg to Rochefort, Illinois. As we mentioned, the homeless thing that happened a bit. So Mary meets a gentleman by the name of Henry Upshaw.
Oh.
Now, they lived with Henry for several years. He was a nice guy. He was a solid dude. He was the only man that Iceberg ever loved.
That's ugly as sin.
Yeah. Ugly as hell. Yeah, that was his one problem. Cardinal sin of reality. Don't be ugly. So Henry did really well for himself, probably because he had to fight for the things he had. He had legally acquired money, which was odd in the African-American community in the 1920s. Not a lot of business owners.
For sure.
And a lot of respect in the community, and he respected people around him. He was a stand-up citizen, and he treated Mary really well. But Mary took advantage of this ugly man. He was the cash cow.
Wait, was this guy also a member of the black community?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yes.
He had the only business in the whole town.
Oh, okay.
He was the only black man that owned a business. He owned a press shop, he would kind of the pressing suits and laundry and stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
It was odd. I remember. I forgot it. I didn't remember. Oh, hold for shit. Sorry, I forgot to turn off the old dehumidifier. That's gonna get swampy in here. All right.
Yeah, so he was a black man, and he had a press shop. He pressed some clothes,
and he wasn't a doctor, and he wasn't a lawyer. Usually, black doctors and lawyers were around, and those were the people with money. But a black business owner in a white man's world at the time, very, very particular.
Right, like the brain surgeon that ran for president.
Well, he's fun.
Little Ben Carson? What is?
I like Ben Carson. I like that he repurposed and whitewashed the pyramids. I like that. Anyway, she even opened a salon with his money. He would just bankroll the whole thing. He was just like, Mary, I love you. I'll take care of you. Here's a salon. You're good at what you do. And they were making money. She's making money now. She was given opportunity by this man. Very supportive. But obviously, she is trifling. Because you know where this is going, right? We all know where this is going. Mary met a hustler named Steve. Yeah, that's right. Who was a regular at the salon. He was kind of like a huckster, I guess. They left Henry, which broke Slim's heart, and it broke Henry's heart. Henry died a year later. Last thing Slim remembers is Henry sobbing on the floor saying, don't leave, please. I'll do anything for you, baby. And Mary just lied to his face, said, we're only going away for a little bit. And Slim was like, women are terrible. At a very early age. He got to see his mom do something really horrible.
Man, it doesn't stop there. Not even close.
Oh, yeah. So they run away with Steve, which is a terrible decision. Steve was a nasty gambler. He took $2,500 that Mary had saved up and blew it in a weekend. $2,500 in 1920s money. Oof.
That's a lot of money. People are trying to
Yeah, it's times 10, so they had 25 grand.
Yeah, It's like people are trying to just make a meatloaf back then and just try to put it in their wallet and squish it in there real quick.
They right. tricked off a car.
Yeah.
And now,
actually, back then, a Model T was like $200.
Yeah, it was like, the direct translation, it's kind of hard to do with money. It was probably like, you said it was like times 10. I think it's closer to the 20s is times like 15. And then the cost of living against that was lower. So the cost, like what the money is actually worth was closer to, times 25 of what it is.
Yeah, whenever it hits around, though, you could get in the Sears catalog a Tommy gun for $200.
Yeah, I actually have an old. I don't have an old Tommy gun. That'd be really expensive. I have an old Sears catalog from. It's a little earlier. It's like from I think 1905. But like you could just buy assault rifles in this fucking magazine. It's great.
That's the American dream.
Yeah,
you used to be able to buy houses and that shit.
Yeah, you could buy a whole house.
Get those house kits. So Steve is a violent prick. He beat the shit out of both of them. And he even murdered Slim's pet kitten in front of him.
Like he was looking down out of the window, and he's like standing underneath him, looking at like a concrete wall. And this dude just freaking caves in this kitten's head against a concrete wall, like while he's looking at it when he's like 8.
No.
Yeah, this is terrible, people. Like I don't like cats much.
I love cats.
But it's a little over the top. You know what you do? You take the cat and you drop it off 50 blocks away.
Yeah, they'll just come back as a smart boy, smartest man alive.
Someone's going to find it, probably named Travis, and they're going to be like, come to my home.
Well, yes, because I have tuna fish that I keep stored in my back pocket.
Put him in the sewer so he can learn kung fu.
Yeah, exactly. There's other ways to get rid of animals you don't want to.
Well, these are cats. They're going to become a samurai and they're going to eat pizza. Samurai pizza cats.
This is a disgusting conversation.
No,
I want to move
smart.
along.
These are
smart. Hate this conversation.
So, you should have. I mean, moral of the story: don't smash cats in the head.
All right. Well,
there's a lot of tragic shit that happens in this dude's story. Just so you know, he does not really spare many details.
Why I gotta cry? I'm coming here to try to have a good time with my friends. Tom, you try to make me cry. You try to make me cry.
Do you want some liquor so you can cry?
Yeah.
You do?
No, his stories do get wild and kind of hot, man, because it's not like he has any lack of play.
Yeah. Well, there's a bittersweet event, which is on Slim's birthday. Mary doesn't show up. And it turns out she had gone to the hospital to get her jaw wired shut because Steve had just smashed her in the head just hard enough to crack it. But after that, Steve ran away. So they didn't see him after that. So it's like, it could have been worse. He could have killed the woman.
Well, yeah, and they're not sending, like, the law after this guy, right? He's just like, oh, well, give her a good old little punch and a kiss her, and now he's gone, right?
It's like, well, if I see him at the donut shop, maybe I'll do something.
Yeah. If he's ordering a Boston cream, I'll spit in it.
Well, he probably likes that. He's a sick guy. So Mary moved her and Slim to a new apartment. She starts working at a salon that was right underneath said apartment. So, yeah, there you go. They're on Rockford, Illinois. New life. At the salon, the young boy starts to take note of his surroundings a bit. Witnesses some finely dressed men hanging out at the salon. These were pimps. These pimps of the 1920s.
So, Tom, can I stop here? Yes. Were pimps of the 1920s the same as pimps of the 1970s? Where, you got these guys with, like, feathers in their hats and, like... they got fucking Pimp Cane and the Pimp Goblet.
Kind of. Yeah. That's coming. They're going in that direction. But right now, people are really struggling just to look good at all. Right. But now, how flamboyant things get, Iceberg really kicks that up to a new level because he's really buying things that cost like a shitload of money. Like his shoes cost 5 times as much as everybody else's shoes, just so that he has like some freaking like pointed hoe kicking boots.
Oh, yeah. Shit. It is true. Like the archetypal thing, there's a lot of guys who are dressing real well, all the fancy shit, fancy cars, but he pushed that to the next level, and then it just became like a cartoon character over time.
Right. Well, now my favorite history subject right now is the golden age of menswear, which I'm trying to emulate every day.
Dude,
I'm just
trying
to be
tweet.
So classic.
They thought capes were coming back in the 70s, man. I don't know.
Well, no, the 70s aren't the golden age. That's that's polyester fucking garbage. But the 1930s and late 20s, classic style.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? The late 80s, early 90s was the apex of fashion.
Oh, yeah, the power suit was pretty big, I'm just saying.
I am a fan of the 70s look, the late 60s, the gentleman's look. I like pointed shoes. I just bought a pair of Chelsea boots that are very pointy.
Oh, okay.
But Iceberg wanted a Duesenberg, which is where the term "that's a doozy" comes from, because this thing is like a V10 that fucking hauls ass. Like, these things could go over 100 miles an hour back then.
Shit.
Which is like a big deal.
I'm not like much of a car guy. This is the first time I had heard of the Duesenberg, and looking into it a bit, it's kind of interesting how like that was. It's kind of like when someone pulls up in a, I don't know, like a Mustang, and they go, "I have a sick car," and it's just like that's not really a sick car. There's other things that the Duesenberg was the it was the Ferrari in a way, not obviously not far.
So wait, we're jumping ahead a little bit. These guys aren't the pimps that he sees aren't driving these Duesenbergs.
Later on, he meets a gentleman who is driving one, who becomes he is a pimp, and he becomes a character.
Okay.
There's a lot of tribal pimp game passing down and stuff like that.
Yeah, you need a mentor in a lot of ways. And Slim was smart. He had more than one. He made his way around a lot of dudes, made the impression, picked their brains.
So this is where he starts meeting these pimps, by the way. Like, these people, he's shining their shoes. He's getting to know these people.
So he's a poly pimp. He's just getting around. He's just like, I'll take whatever
he's getting all the relationships, not playing everyone's jealousy against each other. He's just trying to make some money. And they'll pay him like 50 cents to shine their shoes, which was a good amount of money back then.
Yeah.
Right. Like later on, I actually didn't write this into the script because there is so much detail here. And this could have been like a 12-hour episode, but there is a guy who when he moves to Chicago later on, there's a guy who was a pimp whose shoes he used to shine, and he like interacts with the fella, and his life took a weird turn and all this crazy shit. Okay. So I'm not like, there's no way I could cover all this material without just reading the fucking book. So if I miss stuff, it's because I respect my time. Anyway, where are we? In his early teens. Right. He's seeing all the whore stuff, as Adam mentioned. He's seeing these people, pimps, whores, in the salon. And he sees some ugly shit because he's across the street from a whorehouse, basically. There's a funneling of these people.
He probably also sees some sick shit, too.
Probably some hot bitches. And one fella he meets is Party Time. A man named Party Time. Love Party Time. What a fella. Now, I would best describe Party Time as a chili pimp. And
like Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Like Red Hot Chili Peppers, they offer nothing. So a chili pimp means that you kind of max out at one girl at a time.
Okay.
He's not really a pimp. He's more of a short-term con man. Like, he likes coming up with schemes and shit. Like, he has a little pimping experience, but he's just looking to scheme.
All right.
Yeah, or some petty theft.
Yeah, he's big on that. They had done this. Hold on, I'll get to that in a bit. So he meets Party Time and starts picking his brain a bit. Also, there's a lot of terms in here that I learned. I really did learn a lot reading this stuff.
Are you like Luke Wilson in fucking Idiocracy with Upgrade?
No.
Yeah, kind of.
Not to derail, but there was one term that has gone away in America but didn't go away in Australia, and that's screw. Like a prison guard. That is still, people still say that in Australia. I never heard that one time the whole time I was down. I was down for almost a decade. Half of a decade, my bad.
Right. I didn't hear, like, the amount of language that's being used in Pimp that is totally foreign to the average person today, myself included.
Right.
It's just like, oh my gosh, like I'm an idiot. I don't know anything. I am white.
You got to relearn because you're white.
No, it's fun. So one of these terms is like, Party Time was the kind of pimp that was likely to get Georgia'd. Now, Georgia'd is when you're put in a situation where you think you're going to get paid for your sexual deeds, and then you get skipped out on. You're a sucker. Like,
okay.
So you can do that. Women can do that to men if they're just trying to get laid, which is kind of what he would do. He was involved with freaks, which were better known today as cucks. So he would lay pipe in white women. And their doctor, lawyer husbands would hang out there, and he'd lay pipe. And,
they're like, oh, Gertrude, that is a great pipe you have received. Yes.
So there's even times with Party Time getting like Georgia'd by these people. Now he got laid, but he was just like, hey, that wasn't part of the deal. I don't love your wife. What the hell's going on here?
Y'all heard about the story where I got involved in something like that, right?
Please tell us.
Yeah.
The floor is yours, my friend.
All right, well, I got paid. I'm going to tell you that right now. So, anyways, I'm in the middle of my hustling career, and I had a freaking deal that I had to hit. And I started talking to this chick that was a roadie at the club that I worked at, which was like a hippie bar downtown Houston where you could smoke weed like a free man. And I hooked up with her, and then the next day it might have been a couple of days, she's like, hey, I was talking about you, I want you to come meet my guy. And I'm like, your guy? What the fuck are you talking about? And this is like this dude that she lives with that's like my dad's age and everything. And I don't know why I agreed to go see this dude, but I did. He cooked me a steak dinner, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And I'm being just friendly with this chick because she is actually pretty hot. And well, anyways, this dude's like, hey, man, I was in Vietnam. I had a war accident. I can't get it up anymore. If I pay you $100, will you fuck her? And I'm like in front of you? Like, and he's like, yeah. I'm like,
you get a steak dinner
whatever.
and you get to fuck her?
Yeah. It got fucking weird, though. I don't want to get too far into that, but I got so freaked out by him, I did fucking brandish a firearm and threaten to pistol whip him.
Oh!
Okay, so I did remember you telling the full version of this story. Have you told it on Who Gives a Shit?
No, I haven't told it on Who Gives a Shit. Okay. I told it on the Dick Show. I think I might have told it on NFHC.
Okay, yeah. I want our listeners to find you tell these stories, and it's a long story, and it's intriguing and disgusting, and I loved it. The whole thing. Listeners,
first time I ever ran into some weird, like, alternate lifestyle, like, they were into that DDLG type of thing, but I didn't know what it even was or what it meant at the time. I was like 23, man. This is back in like what, 2008 or something like that. But oh man, thankfully, I told the dude to pull the money out first because I've been hustling for a while. So whenever people talk about money on doing something, you just go, show me the money, because people love to quote movies. And there you go, they pull out the money. Well, then at least you know that you can get that. And yeah, man, you can, whenever money's on the line, if you're like, hey, motherfucker, don't make me beat your ass. I will say that if someone agrees to something, I'm going to get paid one way or another. If you really don't want to pay, I'm going to at least freaking hit you. I'm going to dead leg you hard enough you're going to feel it.
Right. So, tying back to that term that we learned, you're not one to get Georgia'd.
Nah. Because I've been Georgia'd before, but I didn't call it. I just got jacked a little bit. Basically, I was going to go get some weed out of a car, and the dude managed to reach out and snatch the money out of my hand really quick and drive off. And then I was like, I didn't think, I learned a valuable lesson. You just always have to be in control of the money and make sure that no one can ever just run away with it. Yeah. When I was listening to Butter's Bottom Bitch, which was based a lot off of Iceberg's teachings and shit like that, all my partners that I was with thought this shit was funny. I was getting a little nervous because I'm kind of like, they don't realize that I do a lot of this shit because these people don't know how to spend money. A bitch doesn't know how to spend her money. You got to hold on to that money because a bitch can't be trusted with that money.
I love your insight, especially for this guy. Right here. Yes. So Slim, he becomes very close with Party Time, and he learns a bunch of stuff from him, street stuff, terminology, introduced to people, but he doesn't know how low on the totem pole he is. The two of them, they set up what you would call a Murphy scam.
Oh, okay.
A honeypot.
Honeypot, that's the other terminology for it?
You're trying to use someone's lust for something to jam them up. Yep, that's a honeypot.
My first thought of it when I heard Murphy was like
a Murphy bed?
A Murphy bed. Because I grew up on the Three Stooges. So yeah. I imagine if you're going to trap someone, you just go.
I was thinking of C-Lab 2021.
Oh, that show.
I'm just picturing oh yeah, you like this woman? And then they're all sleeping in the same bed and Iceberg is going, me, 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 me,
me, with a little feather over his head. Yeah, that is the cartoon version of this. Yeah, so a Murphy scam is just tricking someone to get involved with a whore or something like that, and then when they get into the room or however the situation is, a guy comes out with a gun or something and robs them at their lustiest.
Oh, okay.
But the way they did it was with a cross-dressing. So Slim would put on like this woman's dress and be in an alley like far enough away, and party time be like, hey, he would stop white dudes and be like, you want to come on down and have a good time with my lady? And then Slim would be out there just kind of dancing like, oh yeah, look at that fucking piece of bones. And
I think there's a word for that that's not very PC anymore. It would be called trap.
Right. Yeah. Now this is a brave act. This is a brave.
This is a brave. He is being brave.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're giving them the okey doke. They think they're getting some pussy. They see some pussy that's jumping over the fence and getting the fuck out of there. They're like, where'd everyone go?
Yeah, exactly.
The dude tries to get money first, and then they're like, suck it, wow, and then they're gone.
Yeah, they try to do it non-violent, where he's party time's playing the pimp, give me $6, and you can go down there and fuck that whore, and then he would just disappear.
No, okay.
Or if it was someone who whipped out like a wad of bills, then they would go attack them after. They tried to do this once with a professional wrestler, and that's when they got caught.
Wait, Hulk Hogan?
It was Hulk Hogan himself. He was screaming the N-word like we know him to do. And I think this guy's name was like the Volcano or something. I forget.
I don't know. As big as Andre the Giant, he's freaking leg dropping on these people. He's like, oh, bitch, go to jail.
Yeah, exactly. So you have Party Time who tries to come up on this guy, and the guy just destroys him, and Party Time gets pinched. He never rats on his friend, though. That's important.
I'm just saying, if I was Party Time, I should just be called Party Time.
You want me to call you Party Time?
Yeah.
Or do I have to call you White Party Time from now on, just to make sure?
It's party time. Party time, hang out with Party Boy, and just go down, 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 down.
I've seen you in a onesie. I know what it's like. It would go over. So while Party Time's in jail, Slim had graduated early from high school. Age 15. He's very smart.
Oh, damn, smart boy.
Slim was. He really was. His academic achievements received him a full scholarship to Tuskegee College.
That has Tuskegee has a isn't that
that's a whole other bullshit
there's a whole
thing.
Another episode right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
I don't think he was skating through at a bad time, but
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, this at this time it's a bit different.
Okay. All right.
So Slim went to Tuskegee, which is predominantly black school in Alabama. I forgot to write this down. Yeah,
it was probably segregated back then, right?
Well, it's this school was a lot of the alma mater was black.
Okay.
And Booker T. Washington founded the school.
Oh, okay.
So it's a comfortable place.
Gotcha.
It's the alum would pay for kids in terrible situations to get out there, give them full rides. That's exactly what they did with Slim. But Slim he had this thing where he's already been doing crimes, and in his words, he had the street poison.
Oh, street poison! You're poison!
Right, and for more viral videos, he basically wanted to be doing hood rat shit with his hood rat friends.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun to do bad things.
So basically, he's trying to go to the haunted forest, like Ron Paul, Jake Paul, and
not that kind of bad.
Okay,
different bad,
and laugh at dead people hanging from tree.
That's terrible. And
wearing the Minions hat. What is he wearing?
Yeah, this guy, he would be banned off Twitter several times by now if he was still alive.
Oh, for sure.
Because man.
So he gets. So he implemented much of what he had seen in his hometown streets at the school. He's like, all right, he's picking up ladies, he's playing the field. He's having a good time.
All right, that's what you do in college, though.
Right? Exactly. But this is a different time.
But he's making money at doing that at college.
Well, he wasn't pimping girls. He started dating this 15-year-old chick his second year and another older one on the side. Now, one day he stood up the 15-year-old for the other one, and the 15-year-old found out about the other woman, made this giant scene on the campus square, and the school board gets involved and considers kicking him out because this is a decent school.
Yeah.
Now, you could date people, but you can't be an animal.
So you can't do anal.
No, you can do anal.
Oh, just actually, anal.
Yeah, only anal.
Only anal. Okay. Yeah.
Like a gentleman.
Like a gentleman. Like you're part of the Skull and Bones, doing anal with your dad, George Bush Sr., having anal sex with your son.
That did happen.
Yeah.
Jones tried to tell us.
Right
Alex
there.
Jones tried to tell us, but we had to.
Alex Jones, no, he didn't try to tell us.
He tried to tell us.
Okay.
He tried to.
Extrapolated this out, but I'm ready to hang them up. I'll eat your ass.
Bless his soul. The alumni that sponsored him, they talked to the principal, the dean, whatever. They got the exception that he needed. They're like, don't expel this kid. We got a lot of faith in him. He scores high. He did well. So he stayed, but not for long. He got involved in some bootlegging, which is fun.
Bootlegging's great.
This is the middle of 1920.
So one time I tried to make...
1930s, excuse me.
Yeah, one time I tried to make my own potato vodka.
How'd it go?
By, like, leaving a potato and some water in my closet for a really long time. And let me tell you, that was the worst smelling thing I had to throw out everything in my closet.
I do know how to brew some hooch out of potatoes.
Hooch, right? That's the term?
Yeah, that's some alcohol that you grew yourself in like bottles or bags or something like that. Right. I thought about making some because I had a stash spot big enough where I could have made like garbage bags of hooch. But, man, I wasn't trying to do that. I was just bored.
You get really fucked up if you get caught with that stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, you get a fucked up contraband charge. And if they want to be real assholes about it, they can try to give you more time. The hooch is kind of in the middle zone. If they want to be dicks about it, it seems like they can. Otherwise, they're going to make it like really hard to get parole and shit like that. Because that's a contraband charge they care about.
Right.
Well, it's basically like just do the way I do it. Make something stinky in your closet.
I mean,
can't get hurt.
If you were in a prison establishment or whatever, you'd probably get in trouble for that because you're just disgusting.
I was in school.
And one thing you could do, if you just left some ketchup out until it starts going bad, that's what they call the kicker. You take just like a little tiny bit of that stuff and put it in. If you put it in some basically like mashed potato water, and then you put that kicker on top of it, and you leave it in a bottle, it'll start fermenting. You just got to burp it every now and then until it stops trying to burp, and then that shit's good to drink and get fucked up.
Hell really? Yeah.
You know what? That's how I'm going to come back to
Patreon content.
When I make a big arrival back in my head, my fantasy land that thinking everyone cares about my drinking habits. That's what I'm doing. All right. Anyway, so he's supplying. What's happening is that there's another student that his parents are wealthy, so he's bankrolling the shit, and he's the guy going out. He makes the contacts, he gets it on campus, and then he does a semi-pimping thing where he gets a bunch of ladies that he's friendly with and, kissing on the lips. He gets them to sell it. So this operation goes so well because the dude's smooth. You don't want an operation like this to go so well because now everyone knows about it, and faculty finds out within a couple months, and he's off.
My name is Dean. You're not allowed in here.
So, yeah, that's what happens. When you do it too well, someone's going to find out.
Fucking Dean.
You have to deal with haters, man. He says that one of the words of wisdom is that everyone loves to see a pimp fall. That's the one thing that all hoes have in common, or all whores have in common.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm no whore, so I
But that's just anyone. Everyone loves seeing someone that's doing well fall. Like, that's what he's talking
for
about.
sure. God, I mean, that's what the entire Twitter universe is.
I was just saying, look at America's Funniest Home Videos. That's people getting hurt very badly. And they put it on TV.
Literally falling.
Yeah. And they put it on TV and put a laugh track on, like, your dad trying to hang lights and like, being paraplegic afterwards.
And they got Bob Saget just going like, boss, oh no, my boss got hit. Oh, not so much.
Oh, man, he can't have children ever again.
Laugh track. Jewish father falls off of Christian roof trying to do the right thing. Trying to keep a family together. So it's a weird time for him. His mother was working somewhere far away from the neighborhood that he grew up in. So he would stay... she would stay where she worked from Monday to Friday, and he wasn't homeless. He stayed with people that he knew. One of them that one of these regulars that he would stay with was a fellow named Diamond Tooth Jimmy.
Ooh, that's another. I feel like we're gonna have a lot of good names in this episode.
There are his interviews where he talks about these names are great.
Yeah, like in the biography, like not his biographies, they use the real names of these people, but in the book, he has like alternate names, and they're both fantastic.
Oh, yes.
So I think Party Time is the only character he really uses the actual name in Pimp. Like he isn't Iceberg Slim until the book is published.
Right.
He goes by Kavanaugh Slim.
Kavanaugh Slim.
Right. Judge Kavanaugh Slim.
Yeah. Brett Kavanaugh Slim.
Right.
Okay.
He's very popular with the ladies. Brett Kavanaugh, let me tell you.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Somehow I feel like Iceberg Slim's rape less people.
Good point. Good point. Well, at least the women knew what they were getting into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Kavanaugh. Well, he's got. You know what the thing is with Kavanaugh? He's so
He said that
handsome.
all whores do it by choice.
Yeah, this is true.
So Diamond, he used to be a pimp, but now he ran a little gambling house. And in return for board, Slim would clean the gambling house during the off hours, and he would stay in like a little Navy cot in the back. Diamond told Slim all about pimps, techniques, stuff like this. This is one of the teachers he has, along with Party Time. Now, Slim was seeing a 15-year-old chick while he was at Diamond's. With her, he would take his first actual steps into pimping. One night after a good bang, he asked the girl if she would do him a favor. And she replies with, "I would do anything for you."
Oh.
It's not good. Never say that.
No, don't do that. You're going to watch all 3 of the first Spider-Man with me
Oh, God.
alone.
No, I'd rather just bang a fat old guy.
We're going to drink half and half the entire time.
I'm dizzy now. It might be
He's like,
the violent
like, would you do anything for me? Will you watch One Piece with me from episode 1 until we get all the way caught up?
Yeah.
It's a lot to ask. Well, anyway, you know what he asks. He goes, jumps right in. He goes, all right, anything. So he goes down the street and he finds a guy who says he's got a woman for $5. Seal the deal.
Uh-oh.
Is this the SVU? Are we doing that?
Oh, man. Well, no, not necessarily. Well, he is getting paid for people fucking.
Sexually based.
That's pretty awesome.
Sexually based.
It's true. Now, here's where it went south. He keeps pimping this chick out, and since his first time, he doesn't really know what he's doing. He finds a mark, and the mark ends up knowing the girl, and knowing the girl's father. So the guy walks out, he's just like, "I've never..." I'm assuming that's what he said.
Well, I've never sucked eggs. Well, I've never
I wouldn't
sucked
know
eggs.
anything about prostitutes. I was trying to find my lost dog, and I wound up in this whoring situation. There's your daughter.
Right.
Why would my dog go to this whorehouse?
I don't understand, but look, he's like, don't ask me how, but your 15-year-old daughter has been pimped out by a punk-ass kid.
Yeah. The tunnel rats.
Right. So now you have a situation where the father he's actually well-to-do. You can see this woman doesn't need money. She's doing it all for him. So there's like, he's learning a lot about what women can do. She doesn't need money.
Tom, they can do everything we can do.
That's correct.
And more.
And more. They can give birth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he learned that women are emotional beings, and that if you can emotionally manipulate someone, you can be more important to them than anything else, including their money.
Yeah, but hold on, guys. Imagine if we could give birth and the baby came out of our dicks.
Oh, like a pseudo penis, like a hyena?
Oh yeah.
Do they give birth out of their shaft?
Well, no. They
give birth out of the penis. Yeah.
Yeah. They all look like dudes.
Oh, okay.
And they have these I guess it's not their ovaries or whatever, but something hanging out. And there's
Well, I'm just trying.
Strap in.
I'm imagining the backwards of like a snake eating like a large egg.
Yeah, it's kind of.
But it's like a baby like spitting out of your dick.
Yeah, gestates in the stomach,
Yeah.
and then a lot of female hyenas die at childbirth because it's like shitting out a baby through your penis.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's an elongated vagina, or a progressive species.
So watch out, ladies. We might be able to do what you can do soon and more.
Yeah, watch out. We can really fire you then.
And female hyenas will sexually assault men to exert their dominance in the hyena world.
Yeah, take that, bitch.
I like that. Pegged.
So either way, in the real world, not the hyena world, you have a situation where the girl's father is like, "Well, that's not good. I'm going to use my friendships and status as a well-known and upstanding citizen in the black community to get this guy in jail.
Okay.
So he did that. He went to the judge beforehand. He goes, look, put him in jail. So Slim is arrested for the first time. He's sentenced to 12 to 18 months at a reformatory. Now, this wasn't a real reformatory. It's a prison. And when I say a real reformatory, I'm making that up. I have no idea what they intend to mean with that. What's a reformatory on paper versus a prison anyway? Do you know this?
No, I don't know. I mean, isn't that like what prisons are supposed to reform?
Yeah, exactly. I thought that's the idea.
I think there's different schools of thought, right?
Well, at least in some of the, not necessarily in the reformatorium, but in later prison, he talked about how during their rec time they could just go learn trade skills and shit like that.
Yeah,
man, they don't have any of that shit anymore. I mean that's crazy to hear about.
They should have that now. Now they just want you to eat your fucking Swanson's dinners, right?
Well, some states have them. Every state does it different. Well, at least, Texas is all I've ever been in prison with. And they used to have a program, but they gutted that shit in the mid-90s.
Of course.
I mean, so Texas prison is not like Scandinavian prison where you get PS5 before everyone else, right?
No. I'm one of the fortunate few that had a TV in my cell.
Oh, shit.
Because my prison was built in 1908 or 1902, something like that. And the cells were so small, the Supreme Court ruled that it was inhumane.
If you didn't have at least a TV?
Yeah, unless you had, unless you always had access to the day room. That was the deal. Yeah, okay. And they could still lock you down during lockdown. And because it was temporary, you could deal with it. And really, that place was all right because your cell door was always open. You could just go in and out of your cell. You could buy a lock and lock your own cell closed, but the COs could get in if they wanted to. But you had your own little TV that you could listen to with some headphones. And that was all right, man.
All right. Yeah, I mean, your own lock is just for other inmates and stuff. That's pretty, I didn't know that.
Jails and prisons at this time, man, they weren't even designed for electricity, a lot of them.
Right.
And so there's a lot of places that don't even really have running water and shit. They got dudes running back and forth with buckets.
Right, yeah. I mean, so he's locked up in, this is what, 1920?
This is 1930. Actually, I forgot to write the date down, but he is 17. He's born in 1936.
1936,
around
right.
that, yeah.
So I think they closed, when we did Mocked Up, they closed the tombs in New York, I think, in the 1940s. And literally they compared that to a medieval dungeon.
Hey, dungeons are cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, dungeons are cool, but, consent.
There's all those sexy women in there getting all tied up. It's not so bad in a dungeon, I suppose.
Yeah, well, into the dungeon Iceberg goes. Intake sounds like fucking dog shit, dude.
Dude, this is a bad situation. The reformatory is one of those things I guess they put on paper and then they're like, put more money into that. And then they just squeeze a bunch of prisoners in. This is kind of pre a lot of privatization of prisons.
Yeah.
But
Well, private prisons are an issue, but they're not the norm, man. Only 17% of prisons are private prisons. Largely, it's a government thing. There is an oligopoly of people that are siphoning money out of the prison industrial complex.
Right.
It is an issue because it's a waste of money to the taxpayers and shit. And actually, the government wasn't near as punitive at that time. Prison population hadn't just exploded yet, but what you could do to a prisoner was pretty extreme. They could just whoop your fucking ass and shit like that and pretty much get away with it so long as you were doing something wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's an example I have about one of his cellmates here. His cellmate was a school acquaintance who was training to be a man of the cloth. He was there because he...
Touch boys?
No,
they have practice boys?
A traditional one.
Oh.
Just a guy who reads the Bible to people.
Oh, but that's why they had practice boys.
They hadn't invented pedophilia until 1939.
That's a lie, Tom. They've been doing it for a long time, but continue, please.
I don't lie. Okay, so he was in there because he was caught smooching some crippled Irish chick. And historically, crippled Irish people are not very into interracial smooching.
Ooh.
So somehow someone cooked up a charge.
So is it because she's tarded or is it because she's Irish?
Because she's Irish. I mean,
is there a difference?
Thank you.
Well, I'm just trying to see.
I mean, I'm Irish. I'm half Irish. I'm half retarded.
That's true.
But, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
he went on for a while in the book about how this dude was constantly crying and doing dumb shit and wouldn't stop reading the Bible despite it, like, pissing off the guards and shit.
Right, exactly. And he was there because I guess whoever the girl's father was just said that he raped her, which wasn't true.
Father O'Shaughnessy, rape!
Right, so this poor dude, he didn't do anything wrong. And like you were saying, Adam, they like the one guard that was like stationed up by his cell just had it out for him the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
He hated the fact that he was constantly praying, all this stuff, anything to pick on the dude. So one day, Oscar meets his kind of like just total downfall.
Yeah.
Slim and he were given a couple hot dogs.
Ooh.
Contraband food from a couple of the other prisoners, I guess one of their buddies. Just like, here you go, here's some hot dogs. Yeah. Perfect.
Man, some of these operations look like Mission Impossible, by the way. People take their food seriously in the joint, man.
Yeah, I mean...
like, the people be smuggling shit, doing pass-offs and shit like that, moving this food all around while people are stealing from the kitchen commissary. Like, it is like fucking... Yeah, think of the Mission Impossible theme song going on as people are freaking trying to rob the state dry however they can for some food.
Yeah, how could you blame them, too? Like, they're, you're just...
They're starving, man. It's fucking... Like, their food is rotting. It's like, there's no health code shit. There's bugs in their fucking oatmeal.
Yeah, and you also have... all the time in the world to just think of ways to get more of it.
Tom Cruise is very good at stealing off your plate.
Necessity is the mother of all invention, man. Some of the little tricks that people come up with to survive in prison and actually be able to have a little bit of luxury is pretty impressive. Because there's a saying, if you got a guy with a cigarette on one side of the prison and you got a guy with a lighter on the other side of the prison, you got two prisoners that are smoking.
Right. Yeah, it's like that teamwork. You need that.
Yeah.
Shit.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
There you go.
Yeah,
Teamwork makes DreamWorks Studios.
Also, man, it's messed up because I listened to this part of the book on the audio book, and I felt a little hollow inside when he talked about how Oscar got cracked upside the head with a fucking billy club.
Right. Yeah. If you want, tell the story.
Scalp and shit like that. Literally beat him retarded.
Yeah.
Like he mentally damaged him, and then they threw him in the solitary for long enough for him to completely disconnect. And totally lost track of who he was to the point where he's like rubbing shit on the walls and stuff like that. Like he completely lost his mind.
So that's what happened to that bro?
Yeah.
They fucking beat the shit out of him until he was...
I tell you, man, I was in solitary for 3 weeks. And it's weird, dude. It is really weird. Like, I could actually feel myself, like, forgetting streets that I should know where things are and stuff like that, man. And people are just made to talk to other people. Like, you kind of need to keep in some sort of social contact with somebody to kind of keep your head on straight.
Right. That shit sounds so cruel to me. And that was a lesson also for Slim. Like, you know, yes, sir, no, sir. Don't piss these people off.
Right.
And do not, like, if you're insulted.
What do you call it, tomming it? Or do you call it the uncle smile or something? Yeah, the Uncle
Tom
smile
type of thing.
Yeah. Where he's like, oh, yeah, or he just acts like super friendly, like the obsequious smile that you kind of see in some media portrayed about black people at the time.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really lose when you're in that situation. That's what guards want anyway. That's what wardens want. They just want that shit, so just give it to them. It's fucking free.
Yeah. They just want a power trip.
Yeah. Let them feel that shit. Yes, sir. All that crap. So he talks a bit about that, and then he talks a bit about how like Oscar being in solitary and the way the condition he was in after he knew solitary was like you need to keep your mind busy because he does end up in solitary for a bit later on.
Mm-hmm.
And it is important because it kind of plays this role where he sees the brutality of prison. And it was like his worst trip in prison was this first one.
Right.
Slim was released after a year. This is around 1937. He lived with his mother and worked as a delivery boy for the local pharmacist. Being around his mother's salon, he saw these hot chicks coming in. She was still in the same game. She wasn't doing anything illegal. She was dealing with people who got picked up all the time. The pimping never really left his mind. He was thinking about it. So then he meets Pepper.
Pepper, like of Salt and Pepper fame.
Yeah.
Yeah. He calls her what they know as a high yellow.
High yellow.
Yeah, I didn't put that in my script because I'm like already pretty bad with being racist against Asians on the show.
But that's not a racist term against Asians. That's someone that's half black, half white.
Adam, out of my mouth. It could be. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know it is. I know the truth. You know the truth.
No, you see, you got to pass with this one because it deals with black people. Historically speaking, they've had it the worst as far as races are concerned. Right, yeah. Now, Chinese people are way the hell up there, but I think when you take all the things in totality, they kind of got to give it to them. And this is a term that they got. So if you don't like it, you don't like black culture. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So what we got to do with a mulatto?
Yeah,
that's not a good term, right?
Can
I not say that?
She had green eyes, and she was light skinned.
She sounded like a dime piece, a little older, high shelf prostitute. So started teaching Slim some of the things he needed to know about controlling women. Now she was not going to be one of his bitches, never. They just banged and did all this crazy stuff, and I think this is where Slim gets introduced to cocaine.
Oh, caca!
So, happiness.
Yeah.
This is where he learns the pain-pleasure dichotomy.
Right, yeah, exactly. This is, what would she do? She would bite him and
shit?
She
bit him in the belly button hard enough to draw blood and then started licking his belly button when she wouldn't let go.
Oh!
Yeah.
I was thinking some, simple just sounding.
No, he slapped the shit out of her, and then she bit the fuck out of him, drawing fuckloads of blood, and then they kept on going afterwards because he says he has some Sigmund Freud quote about wanting pain and pleasure or something like that.
Yeah, and they sure shit got it. I mean, they spent a while together.
Do you think that they male-female docked?
What is? What, like hyena style?
You spread out the clitoral hood far enough that it goes over the head of the penis.
Yeah, you're not having sex. You're just doing a handshake with the clitoral hood and your foreskin or lack thereof.
Get it to stay somehow, and then body paint like a Star Trek spaceship on it or something like that. And there you go.
Yeah, you can use some super glue.
This is an unropeable conversation.
Dude, I'm trying to shoot ropes, dude.
Iceberg shooting ropes. He's shooting a lot of ropes with this bitch. He's fucking her all the time. She's wearing his ass out because really he's getting turned out by her, and he doesn't even know it.
Well, he's getting Georgianed.
Oh,
because he went in there. He went in there with the intent of getting something out of this deal. He got some knowledge out of it, but he wanted to start. Hey, give me the money, things like that. But he was too soft. He's too soft. And she was also too well known. It was never going to happen. Wasn't meant to be. So his brain is thinking about pimping, and Pepper gets him hooked on cocaine and the whole business of pleasure, all that stuff. So Slim was eventually set up by Pepper's husband to get him off the street.
Salt.
Yeah. Salt, yeah, Mr. Salt.
Mr. Salt.
Mr. Salt came and was just like, I've had enough of this.
Man, it's a real elaborate ruse that they put up, too. Just to get him in a place where he's caught with his pants down, where he can't really prove where he's at. Just so it's a robbery. I mean, they've railroaded his ass.
Yeah,
they got him good.
They did. I mean, the details, it's a lot to go into, but basically after there was a falling out, they get Slim to go bang Pepper out, but it's someone else is paying for it, and it's like $500. I don't know exactly. It's for these freaks or something. It's a story, like you said, Adam. Quite the setup. Anyway, he gets the $500 after banging out, and then the husband gets the police involved, who pulls him over. He stops him at a concert and finds money and plants a key for the house on him and says it's a robbery.
So he's listening to some fucking Louis Armstrong shit.
It's intense. They really went out of the way to fuck this kid up.
Now, in the book, this is where shit fucking fast forwards fast, man.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's just like, I went to prison again, and I listened to the old pimps and just how they pimped, and then I got pimping. He didn't really say much about his second stint in prison.
I think it was a lot lighter. That was it didn't suck as much. He wasn't beat. So it was I wouldn't say the word fine, but it was quick. So
it was gravy, dog.
Right. So he gets this B&E charge. He's sent to prison. At this adult prison, he finds himself in the company of pimps. You would cover that, actually. The stories I learned from pimps. Okay, after getting out of prison, 1938, he went to Milwaukee to pick up the pimping trade. So
wait, he went to Wisconsin for the Milwaukee for fucking pimping?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
It's pretty cold.
the story of his first bitch is man, it's a real push and pull because he's really having to play a cold face because he can't let her know how desperate he is because he needs her. Because without her, he's nothing at this point. He doesn't even have a bitch in his stable.
This is where like cruelty is really introduced to his character, to his whole demeanor. His first bitch is Phyllis. Now I think they met in a bar. The two of them met in a bar. He plays real cool. He's like he notices she has money on her.
I gotta ask, Tom. So we're moving forward. Is he mainly just pimping black women, or is it any race or
to get started? It's
Phyllis,
black women.
Phyllis was black, right?
Yeah, Phyllis was black. Later on, there are so many. There's the turnover in women is really high with him. So he does all races later.
Well, I was just wondering if this story was very insular to just the black community, or if it kind of
no, he goes through like 400 women or something like that.
Okay,
he can't even keep track. He's using his bottom bitch to figure out all the shit for him. He just knows money is coming. Back into Phyllis here. So he meets Phyllis in a bar, introduces himself. It's kind of a story, but anyway, what ends up happening is that he sees that she has money. And he goes, this is my bitch. I need her. Charms her, gets invited back to her apartment. There, he demands the money. When she doesn't hand it over, he beats the shit out of her. And there's your first bitch.
Wait, so she did the deed and just wouldn't turn over the cash.
She didn't.
No. She's like, I got money coming. I'll fuck this guy. And then I'll do that tomorrow. Now come to bed. And he's like, nah, we're not going to fuck until I get your money.
Oh.
Then he shoves her out the bed and, like, boots her ass a whole bunch of times.
Yeah. She has some cash on it. Like, he spots it in her bra or something when he sees her.
Oh,
and she hid it in the record player.
Record money.
Oh, right. When they went back to the apartment. Right, and then she tells his deal about how she's getting paid by another guy who's coming over. So it's just a fucking mess. And but he controls this woman. He makes Phyllis his bottom bitch.
I mean, if you know anything about me, if you're coming over and we're gonna have sex, we're gonna order Domino's afterwards, and she's gonna be like, "I want to get pepperonis on it." We're getting extra pepperonis, bitch.
But all he does is he's like, bitch, stand out of the corner from here to here. I'll be back to pick you up. Now give me all your money. And he's getting like $100 a day and like 30's money.
Damn.
It's wild. Like
Great Depression style.
It is really the cruelest profession at the end of the day. Like, you're not really doing anything.
Yeah, this is a time when people are boiling their jeans in water and calling it soup.
Right. And you're out there just beating women, stealing their money, essentially, making them do all the work. And you know what? Some women, I'm sure, deserved it. But most of them didn't.
I mean,
Let's be fair.
I think OnlyFans should have pimps.
Yeah. Come pay me, and I'll show you. I'll lick a stamp and put it on this bitch's ass for you.
Yeah.
OnlyFans. So after a few test runs with this bitch, Iceberg brings Phyllis out from Wisconsin to Southside Chicago to pimp her out in a real city.
So he just went to Chicago just to get Phyllis, or like a woman.
Well, he went to
Milwaukee
to get a woman.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Did I say Wisconsin?
Wait, you said Chicago.
Oh, sorry. You went to Wisconsin just to get a woman?
So he successfully macked and copped that bitch, and then dusted off to fucking Chicago?
Yeah, Southside Chicago. So now they're in Chicago. This is when he picks up the moniker Kavanaugh Slim.
Brett.
It's the birth of this boy. So he visits the clubs where all the pimps hang out, becomes accustomed to the Chicago underbelly. I'm skipping over a lot of stuff. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in Pimp about this. We just wouldn't have time, as I mentioned.
And he's not having any crossover with Al Capone because they have like racial divides, right?
Well, yeah, it's
the 30s. I'm just assuming.
He knows mafia people. He wrote a book about mafia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mafia people in Chicago. There's not a lot of overlap in this story particularly. Right. He learned about the psychological manipulation tactics from an older Chicago pimp named Baby Bell.
Oh my God, that is my pimp name.
Yeah,
I'm gonna modernize it a little bit. I'm gonna be Young Baby Bell.
Young Baby Bell.
YUNG Baby Bell.
I'm be Swiss Baby Bell, and we'll be competing.
Oh shit.
Yes.
Now I have Gouda though. That's a new flavor.
So after some interaction, a little bit of prying, Slim is taken under Baby Bell's wing, and he helps him navigate Chicago a little better. Now, he told Slim about acting like a god around his bitches, knowing everything about them and telling them nothing about yourself. So it's got to be arm's distance all the time.
As Tom said, acting like a god around bitches, his girlfriend walked in the room.
This is my fiance, okay?
Yeah, fiance. Beyonce, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's, I've been calling her hoe all week, and she has not liked it. I'm pretty sure she poisoned me last night. That's why I'm so hungover right now.
The mentality that the pimp and hoe dichotomy have is real messed up. Because it's like these people believe that every single relationship at the end of the day is some type of manipulation.
Oh yeah, that's the game. Like they're very good at their craft. Like he's very good at doing this, and I would never think of doing half of the shit.
Yeah,
that even to just cut the line, make someone feel special.
I get nervous about that.
Yeah. So Baby Bell, he kind of broke Slim. He was the one who pushed him to get even more violent. Told him to really contain his emotions at all times. He used to say, "You smile too much, colder, colder, colder."
That's what Baby Bell would do.
Baby Bell funneled all of Slim's hatred for his mother into how he acted around women. So he, on paper, he loved his mom, but also his mom was a trifling bitch, as we remember. Mm-hmm. Did terrible things, screwed over a lovely man. Henry Upshaw, shout out to him.
And then went back to her first husband and stole all his shit.
Right, exactly. It doesn't stop there. Like, there was so much shit that happened with the mother.
Right.
She got in on Steve's schemes, and it's horrible people. So Slim gets his whores. He has them working for 16 hours a day. Bell taught him that whores have a short shelf life, and you need to get as much as you can out of them in the shortest amount as possible. Okay? Bell stuck around and kept pushing Slim to be more vicious and cold, so Slim upped his cocaine intake, started doing a little heroin too, so he can kind of kill all these emotions and just be an animal.
You're talking about the bird, the heron bird, right?
The heron, yeah.
Young heron.
Did I say that wrong? I said that's the stuff that Kurt Cobain used, heron, right?
Yeah, he was a big fan. He's a bird watcher.
Yeah.
And then he saw one bird, and he's like, that's the most beautiful bird I ever saw. And he was going to shoot the bird, and he was like, nope, I'm not. I'm going to shoot myself in the head.
The bird landed on his head. We just figured out Kurt Cobain in a show that had nothing.
Don't even need to do him. Done.
Yeah. Toast. Sayonara.
But in this book, he does talk about heroin ruining some people's lives and shit like that.
Oh, yeah. No, he had a serious problem with the stuff. A lot of people, a lot of pimps had problems with it. A lot of whores had problems with it.
Well, goes in your vein.
You gotta numb the pain, man.
Yeah.
Come on. These are jazz people. They love jazz.
Yep.
The jazz musicians loved heroin.
Yeah, but Tom,
it was cool.
Think about industrial people. I mean, think about 9 Inch Nails. This is
why Nixon wanted to go after heroin so hard, so he could target and lock up black people.
Well, because Nixon knew 9 Inch Nails was going to come out, and there's going to be more pain involved.
Yeah, good music does come out of heroin. That is a side effect of having a lot of heroin around.
Yeah, the few people I know who did heroin, they're just stupid.
Yes, kind of true.
They're bad musicians.
Look, you got to play the stats on this. You'll eventually get someone that'll make a very successful band because they got a lot of heroin.
Or you'll fall asleep on the couch while someone's talking to you.
The figures are in. Yeah. So, where are we? Slim never looked the part of the pimp at the time. This is like Slim changed, as you mentioned before, Adam. He changed what the pimp was because he wasn't this big like ape of a dude, like barrel-chested, aggressive-looking. He was slender. He was slim. He was part of his thing. So he upped the whole like I'm dressing even better than these guys. Also to compensate for the fact that he wasn't a big guy. He was gaunt.
Right, so I'm assuming that, like, pimps before... Because pimps have existed since hoes existed.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm assuming that they probably would have looked like bouncers up until this guy.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it's an aggressive game. Like, Party Time was even a big dude, even though he was a bad pimp.
Right,
Baby Bell was a big dude.
And people would shoot each other and shit like that. Like it does get kind of raw because you're dealing with criminality and shit.
Yeah,
and you're dealing with a bunch of women, and there's going to be some emotions as people are stealing each other's bitches out of their stables.
Yeah,
It's got emotional times indeed.
Once you involve the penis and the clitoral hood, things get aggressive.
You ever played Pimp the Backhanding?
Pimp the black
I have not.
No.
A real game that White Wolf made in like '06 or something. It's a pretty fun little card game.
Oh, fuck yeah.
That sounds fun. So either like he develops the look, he never breaks character around women.
What time? We're going to the 40s now?
Yeah, we'll skip ahead a bit. Mid 1940s. He kind of took to holding court and speaking, preaching in the streets, the red light district.
Mm-hmm.
His vocabulary, his cadence would make us all look like animals, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The guy could talk. He was able to attract more women this way to join the stable and gain the trust of customers and other pimps. He was kind of like an icon. He had really climbed the ladder quite quickly.
So one thing I will say from learning about being a gentleman with wearing suits and whatnot, I did learn that the zoot suit, which I'm assuming is what he probably would. That's during the 40s, was the rise of the zoot suit.
Was that a 40s thing?
Yeah, it was the 40s.
I thought that was a 20s thing.
No, it was during the 40s because the zoot suit was seen as offensive by most people because during the 1940s we were at war and there was cloth rations. So if you look at men's fashion, we used to wear in like the 30s and 20s, everything was kind of loose fitting.
Right.
And then you get more of the suit that you see nowadays where it's like tight to your body, sort of.
Okay.
So these guys were wearing zoot suits, and it was seen as obscene because they had so much fabric that they were wasting.
God, that's so much cloth. You men have so much cloth.
Yeah.
Well, they did spend a whole lot of money on their clothes to get like custom pieces. Basically, their idea was that whatever the hell was dressed make it cost 5 times as much as that.
Yeah.
It's wild. And do you think they really gave a shit about war efforts?
No.
I mean,
no. This is about getting that money. And on top of that, they're bitter against the country a little bit because of like the culture that they have to deal with in general. He does opine that he has to like do this and manipulate women to get money like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. There's a lot in the book where he talks about what it is like being a black dude in this world that's extremely prejudiced at the time. This is pre-civil rights.
Well, yeah, you're dealing with Jim Crow laws and shit like that. It's fucking terrible.
Like the law will like while he was locked up would just call him the N-word. Like that's no big deal.
Yeah.
Like they'll say whatever to you, and you can't react. If otherwise, they'll say that you have visual insubordination, and they'll just clock you upside the head with a fucking baton.
Yeah. It's fucked, dude. Our country is fucked.
Hey, it's pretty cool to me. And not that racist stuff, the other things.
Tom, I drove up to your house and I saw the Pledge of Allegiance decal on your Jeep.
On my
Jeep. I get it.
Yeah, all my Please do not tread on me, sir.
I have this tiny little worm that says like, "Please leave me alone." It's a worm and it says, "Please leave me alone, America."
It's complicated stuff. Look, there's worse places to be. It doesn't matter.
Continue.
Anyway, continuing. He never settles down anywhere. He moves from hotel to hotel. He likes his privacy, so he does get like apartments where the whores stay, and he doesn't live with them because he's smart. Because that's a lot of complaining.
Yeah.
He knows that...
also, he'd get robbed in his sleep, too. He knew that.
There's a lot of loose ends. If people know where you are and you have that much money and stuff. So he would just spend his money ridiculously, and he was never in one place for more than like a couple weeks.
It's funny because my dreams were robbed in my sleep thanks to capitalism, late-stage capitalism.
Oh, thanks. We're going back there?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
this book gets brought up in a bunch of discussions about capitalism and shit like that because the economic concepts that he kind of talks about are sort of raw and really true and hard to argue aren't really based in reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he has a really excellent grasp of everything involved here. So when he lays it down, it's like, it's not just the culture and the words that people are using, but it's the money thing. It's the money of the time, all that stuff. So he noticed that the turnaround was rather high in his massive stable, so he cut down on the amount of girls that he would let in. And he kind of formed like a waiting list for bitches.
Okay.
So instead of having, like 100 at a time, he would cut it down to 25 and then have a few more.
Selective.
So they would want to stay.
Well, he always had even numbers.
I missed that part.
Yeah, well, he needs to have basically a bunch of pairs of bitches all competing against one another, and they don't want an odd one out, because she'll sow discord.
Wow, this guy, he thinks of everything.
Yeah.
Or the other guys thought of everything and told him everything.
I mean, what is this, Squid Game?
This is like tribal wisdom to the hip that actually got an ear for this type of shit, you know? Like he talks a lot about that, about how he identifies these people and finds ways to talk to them and shit like that, because he knows he needs to know more and that he's gonna have to get taught some shit. And so he's gonna like sweet talk his way and kiss people's ass so that these other pimps will impart their pimping knowledge, because there's a lot of like one-liners that just work on chicks.
Yeah.
It's like the dictionary that you need when you go out. All right, woman is doing that. Okay.
Yeah, no,
Line.
it's like there's
What's
plenty
the line?
there's plenty of excellent YouTube channels you can see if you just have how to pick up the women's. Great stuff. But Tom keeps imparting knowledge.
So when World War II begins, Slim avoided the draft because he didn't have an address and he didn't give one over. Mm-hmm. He sent his bottom bitch Phyllis and a herd to an army base in Wisconsin. There, Phyllis reached a breaking point, and upon returning to Chicago, Phyllis chewed out Slim in front of some of the other girls. Now, Slim couldn't have that, so he wound up and punched Phyllis in the face, broke her jaw.
Oh.
And that's when things started to unravel for him on this leg of his pimp.
Well, this is the woman with the wire in her jaw?
He broke his bottom bitch. You see, she ran out of her mileage.
Right, so you need that bottom bitch to be, like, strong, and you need a replacement at least immediately. And now that he has all these women in the stable now who are running wild.
Right.
There's no lead. There's no one to command. You need, like, in directing, you need an AD to get the shit
right,
done.
but if your mouth is in a wire, you can write an excellent album that will change the world. That's what Kanye told me.
Well, that's good. He sure did. No, but he broke her jaw, and she left after that. It's gone. 1944, the pressure got too much for Slim, so he went out on a walk to buy some heroin, as he was kind of into doing that. Unfortunately, he was being watched by the police and was picked up for questioning. He was booked for pimping and spent time at Cook County Jail with a little cell with 8 people in it. A cell that was probably the size of this little area we're in now, so like an 8 by 10,
like a tiny by tiny,
like just people laying on top of each other. Terrible. So he was booked for he's booked for pimping, but then they also got him on draft dodging, which I just mentioned, and also violating the Mann Act, which we covered with Chuck Berry.
Oh yeah,
has to do with
human trafficking.
Yeah, it's bringing women for solicitation across state lines, so it becomes a federal thing.
Chuck Berry had that. Oh, Chuck Berry! I got a little fire in my lungs.
Oh shit!
Chuck.
So did he get brought up on federal charges?
Yeah, with the Mann Act thing.
Chuck Berry had the Cherokee woman.
Right.
So
exactly.
when I was hustling around, there were times where I would just point at some of the shit, and because we had so much stuff and the amount of volume that we were dealing with, we would just be like, fed. Because whenever we were really doing something where we knew we were committing a federal crime, that's whenever we really put our game face on, just in case.
Yeah.
Just you know what the charge is going into.
That was when you were like, I'm gonna throw this pizza on the roof. Fucking Walter White, pulled your pants down.
Only instead of like having a lab, I just know Mexicans that like to barbecue that'll just give me whatever the hell I want.
That sounds like a way cooler story than Breaking Bad. I'm just saying. I'd rather just hang out with Mexicans that give you great food.
Yeah, and they really liked me, man. They liked to hang out with me because a lot of these people were gun nuts, and I was able to really hold a conversation with these people about how to, the practical application of a firearm. And I mean, a fucking Iceberg has to learn this type of shit too, because some dude tries to fucking con him into killing another pimp to try to like climb the ladder and shit like that. And I mean, there's always this like threat of violence.
Yeah.
And there's other pimps that are telling him when he can have heat and when he can have work and shit like that. And where he's supposed to like have his stash stashed out on the street in case he gets picked up. So it's better to lose the stash than take the heat.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there's all these things he's learning, and it's stuff that gets totally overlooked when you're just like kind of going, this is just criminals.
I mean, I feel like wouldn't there be like something that you'd learn kind of like if you're on the streets of like fucking someone up to the point where you will almost kill them but not kill them because then you would draw heat to yourself?
Yeah, I don't think he ever murdered anyone. I think there's like the story you just mentioned with the guy pressuring him to kill the other pimp. He says he's not down with the murder thing. He has certainly pushed a lot of his women to the brink of death,
right?
But never
offed anyone.
He was softest.
Dude, this guy was getting senior discounts of Red Lobster, even though he was in his 30s.
Good liar. So he was able to make bail, but he knew time was coming. So he had a little time out on the street. On the street, he was down to juggling 2 to 3 women at a time. So he had really lost his whole empire. And like a good spender, didn't have any money.
Some people call him a juggalo.
He talks about that, actually, because he tries to avoid being a juggalo because then he's going to stop getting paid sooner.
Yeah, you want to have one. Have a bitch who's going to stay for a while. You figure out her shelf life, and then you have to figure that in by talking to the woman.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, Baby Bell says know everything about these women. That's part of it.
Right.
Figure out how long they're going to be able to work for you. Push them. Figure out when the first time they got raped was. Like, start, like, really getting deep in them.
It's weird. Right. I mean, a Baby Bell has a shelf life as well. So... Trust me, I have done this. If you've ever opened up a Baby Bell that's past its shelf life, it will look like
a potato in a closet.
No, it'll look like maybe. You know the episode of Cowboy Bebop where he opens the fucking fridge and there's that lobster
toys in the attic. Yeah,
that's what the Baby Bell looks like when you crack that shit open over the wax.
Yeah, he was only scared twice in that whole series, and that was during that and when he fought that fucking scary invincible clown.
Oh, that's the scariest episode. But let me tell you, Baby Bells, if you want to experience that fear. If you want to experience Spike's fear,
I'm glad.
Leave a Baby Bell out on the sidewalk in front of your house. Open it in 2 weeks.
I'm glad we're not mentioning him anymore after this. That is a buzzword, Baby Bell. So on trial, he admitted guilt over pimping and was sentenced to 18 months in Leavenworth Federal Penitentiary in Kansas. The rules were strict at Leavenworth. No talking in the hallways. No talking during food times. Guards were always marching back and forth. Not much to tell because not much happened there. Released in 1947 from Leavenworth and went back to live with his mom for about a week.
So they got a term for places like that. They're Cadillac units.
Cadillac units.
Because really, the guards are uptight and everything like that. But whenever you got a bunch of people that are enforcing rules all the time, then you don't have to worry about the fucking inmates running wild and running the show too hard. Because that turns into it can either be a gladiator unit or a rock and roll unit. A rock and roll unit is where the inmates kind of got a run of it and they can get away with some shit and have some fun. But it's nothing too crazy where people are getting too gangster with it and shit like that.
Right, you get away with a little more contraband and stuff,
people getting weed from time to time, get some dip. Maybe they'll sneak in some pornography or something like that because that's contraband too.
Wait, you can't go to Brazzers.com when you're in prison?
Nah, yeah, and think about this: when you're in prison, there's an information shortage. Like you can't just Google something, dude.
Really?
And that took me a second to get used to, because I was I grew up on the internet and shit like that. I'm an old F slur, if you know what I mean. And so
I was around the same age, I think.
No. Oh, I ran into another guy that was anonymous while I was down. Actually, that tripped everybody out. Because you basically started talking in meme speak, and all the black guys that really have their own really weird way of slang of saying things were just like fascinated with the way we were talking to one another.
It's awesome. Yeah, that's got to be weird. I didn't even think about that because you obviously don't have a phone.
Yeah.
If
you want to know something, you're going to have to write a letter and ask them to Google it, or go try to look it up in the library.
How big was the library?
Not that bad. I stayed reading the whole time I was down, and I read a ton of books, man. Like, I had nothing better to do.
Yeah.
And so it was a good way to pass the time. I mean, I read more than anything else, that's for sure.
That's good to at least give you that.
And this was a banned book, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure. This get people excited.
Well, Iceberg's book?
I'm sure his whole catalog had to have been hot button shit.
Why would they not allow?
This is borderline.
Anything that could promote racial violence is banned, and they use that to just say no to all sorts of shit.
So you're saying
they use that to try to say no to one of my One Piece manga books.
Wait, so you couldn't fucking take out Mein Kampf from the library?
Not unless you were in the master's degree class and you were taking that class.
Oh, so the neo-Nazis will be like, I'm taking the master class.
Why are you speaking like that?
Yeah, they're pretty shameless about it, man.
Yeah, it's got to be wild, dude.
Really, really racist ass place. He kind of talks about it when he was down, but I mean, I saw that more than I don't know. Maybe this is just like some pre-gangster shit or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I that would definitely be a culture shock on top of it. I've heard about just the blatant racism and stuff like that. Like, it's one thing to make a joke every now, but this is like people live by this shit. It's like, oh my god, like, what do you?
Well, yeah, he kind of talks about it too, like the black economy and the white economy and how they move stuff differently. Because he talks about all the stuff that he did. All he ever did was extract money out of the black community.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
Not
and
good.
So, what he did damaged his people, and that's how he knew that he just couldn't do it forever.
Right.
Because, he knew that the karma was going to constantly catch up with him. He kind of really does think about how he was going to get out the game.
I haven't really, because I feel like the culture really kind of identified with, or not identified, but shown kind of Iceberg Slim as being like the pimp, and right, you've got like Snoop Dogg and all these guys coming out of that, right? But you've never really kind of seen the white pimp. And I'm assuming the white pimp looks like Danny DeVito.
Fred Durst.
Fred Durst?
Yeah.
All right.
So, with that flamboyantly red hat? Yeah.
Okay.
The only white pimp I've ever seen depicted in film off the top of my mind is in 12 Monkeys.
Who's the white pimp in 12 Monkeys?
Well, they go and get the hotel room where Bruce Willis is like taking out his teeth and shit.
Oh, yeah.
And Bruce Willis goes up there and they think that his lady friend is a bitch. And the pimp comes in and goes, he's like Australian or something. He's like, you owe me death! It's like, what?
Or James Franco in that movie.
Oh, yeah. Iceberg Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back here. So he leaves Leavenworth and he tries to get right back into pimping. He finds more women, but his reputation has been sullied. He has lost all of his fancy clothes, and he's basically taken a task. He's got to start over again. The climate had changed while he was in jail, too. There weren't like any more big pimps in Chicago when he got out, because there were a lot of busts happening. Let's see. He made his rounds at the clubs that he used to visit. He ran into another pimp there who had just gotten out of jail named Red Eye. They teamed up on a robbery scheme, and acting as police, they tried to rob the richest woman in town, and they actually pulled it off. So they said, let's do this instead of pimp him.
Eat the rich.
So the kidnapped lady...
yeah. Wait, she was a drug dealer, right?
Yeah, she was a drug dealer. It was like a local who...
Oh, so man, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about why I never got robbed.
All right.
Yeah, please.
Man, and I've had a lot of money on me at the same time and shit like that. Because I've had people that come in from out of town where I'm moving anvils and shit like that, like hundreds of pounds of pot and shit. Mm-hmm. So, you're running around with like 5 figures on you. I have like cargo shorts where my shorts are completely full of money with like both sides of my pockets.
Oh, shit.
But one of the reasons people didn't fuck with me is because I'm a gun nut and a firearm enthusiast.
Well, there you go.
Constantly strong-arming people into talking about guns because I had a hell of a collection and I wanted to make sure I had my bases covered. So, first off, I wouldn't have just gone out where you can just suddenly get jumped by a couple of people, because if I'm ever moving anywhere with money, I've already like pre-routed everything and shit like that. I'm never holding on to much.
Yeah.
But also I could like shoot someone's car and stop them and shit like that, because I had a 460 Magnum that would like crack an engine block.
Oh, so shit. You'll Grand Theft Auto that bitch.
No, I'm going to make sure this money isn't going anywhere. Yeah. I need to make sure the drugs stay where they are. I need to make sure the money stays where it is. Because if they're jacking me, I'm jacking them back. And people knew that I would.
Right, yeah.
Made abundantly clear. It's like, oh.
I mean, you could also go the opposite direction, too. I mean, like, if you're like, yeah, I'm a gun enthusiast, you could also be like, I'm a complete freak, right? And, like, have just, like, dildos on you, because that's what I would do.
Well, you also have no money.
I have no money.
Yeah.
Well, people also knew that I was a crazy person to play planning shit out. People were race scared, is what we called it. They were, like, people that weren't white were scared that I'm like that school shooter type or something like that.
So you were playing in like the Columbine thing where you were like wearing like trench coats and stuff?
I did have a trench coat where I look fucking slick like the Matrix and shit like that, because I had a Saiga 12 and a scar.
Oh, fuck,
and then
yeah.
I had a bunch of fucking pistols and shit like that. So yeah, I could be fucking strapped under this bitch.
Just like blasting fucking Marilyn Manson.
Dude, I go fucking heat on people because I had a FN scar that shoots a 308, man, and they didn't even commercially make a body armor that stopped a bullet within 50 yards if you had a full metal jacket.
Yeah.
So I was actually like, there was enough money on the thing where I needed to fight off the feds and disappear in a back forest for a while so I could get to some people that had like four-wheelers and shit to get off in the woods and shit. Like that, like there was I had escape plans and all sorts of shit, because I would just sit around smoking weed, watching hood and mafia movies, thinking about how to be a better hustler and shit like that. Like how you can just do it just to do it better. Like we had a bong fridge that we were very hospitable. We had cameras all over this bitch. You couldn't get anywhere close to us without us seeing you coming and shit.
So and
it was a crazy lifestyle, man. Like whenever you're really known and you're able to get shit done that you're not supposed to be able to get done, it's kind of addicting, man. It gives you a rush.
I want to ask a question just because Mike isn't here.
Sure.
Did a kickflip involve your escape plan? Like were you just like fuck the feds, like, and then they're gonna drive up, like, is this part of the plan, like they're driving up in all black vans and then I'll just do a kickflip and then we can just like do the plan
on our way
normally?
No, I had three options. I had three options because I was able to get off into the woods for a second, go down like a drainage ditch area where I knew some people that I could trust in that neighborhood over there. And these people are Mexican as fuck, and they would just sell to me cash right there, like their ratty ass CRX or their dirt bike or their four-wheeler.
Okay.
And so I was going to go off and then run off with that. And I had all the money in a Gucci backpack and shit like that, dude. It looks slick as fuck.
How long were you hustling?
Like, a little over 2 years, about 2.5 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the first 9 months was fairly slow, but once the wheels got rolling and people realized that things were going to stay regular, people appreciate reliability in a weed Costco.
Yeah. I would like a grape ape, AK a million, please.
Yeah, you'd like to be able to go to a place and be like, hey man, give me a pound of purple nurple and shit like that. And if they always had stock, people just keep on showing up, and that's fine. Also, there were some bullshit rules that you were going to have to deal with for us. And so if you were coming to do business with us, you knew that you were going to have to be there for like at least 45 minutes to an hour. Like you're going to have to sit down, play a couple of rounds of Call of Duty, maybe watch a couple episodes of Metalocalypse or something like that, just so it doesn't look like we're just there hustling, basically.
Right. So you guys were kind of like the Texas version of like the guys in Lock, Stock. You've seen Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, right? Where they're they're hanging out at their house and. Except that you guys didn't have BB guns, you had real guns.
Oh, yeah, dude. I had a gun for every occasion I could think of. I had a setup where I could shoot through the walls of that place if I was in the back room.
Right.
If we were doing like a big deal and shit. And I always had my Saiga 12 at the ready. Like if there was something going down, the engagement range is so small. I had a Saiga 12 with a freaking 20-round drum and then two 12-round magazines that were going like buck slug, and that's good enough to freaking deal with any actual real problem you might really have.
Yeah.
Damn.
And that thing looked intimidating as fuck. And the sound of it, man, makes people's fucking asshole pucker, dude. You're just like, shunk, and people are like, oh, shit.
Well, that's what I've always said.
Man, you see one of these bitches?
That's what I always said with self-defense, right? Like, if you get something that has a scary sound, like you have like a shotgun that just goes, that'll make someone poop hard and fast, and then they'll run.
And then, yeah.
I almost always had a shotgun on me, man.
Yeah.
I had a 2-shot Derringer that shot a 410 or a 45 long Colt. I had it set up for bird shot or a 45 long Colt or a slug or something. So I always had the option to shoot someone to let them know I was fucking serious. And I I didn't really let a whole lot of people know that I would do that. But there's a couple people where I'm like, nah, man, I'm really not to be fucked with. I don't think you understand.
Yeah.
Damn. Man,
because I was very serious about protecting that money. I was the money guy. I kept track of I was a national merit scholar and actually got a perfect score in the math of the SAT, and I'm able to keep track of a lot of numbers, and I have a unique knack to be able to do math while incredibly high. And so I would be hustling with these people, freaking going in and out with them, and I'd be able to negotiate good prices while we're all stoned to the bone. And I always had a really good idea of where all the money's at. And all these people that I'm hustling with, they love the lifestyle of easy money, and it's easy come, easy go. And so I'm kind of dissuading them. I'm not really lying to them, but I am jibing them and making fun of them and shit like that, so I could keep this money in the coffers to keep this shit turning around. Because there's this weird magnetic effect that once you have a lot of money, it suddenly becomes real easy to get a whole lot more.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's the inertia of it. When you have cash flow, you can make a lot more happen.
That's what happened to Papa John's.
Sure did. All right, let's get back in the house. Now we have this robbery that takes place. They rob Mavis, rich woman. They basically beat her until she shows
yank the stash at her snatch.
Yeah, she had like a couple grand in there. It was a lot of money back then.
Her snatch
and some drugs.
Yeah, like next to drugs. She was high rolling. So they tried it again a week later, and they were caught by the police. These two men. So Slim took his lawyer's advice and pleaded guilty to the robbery charge in a deal. Now he was sent to a workhouse. But the workhouse turned out to be worse than the prison for Slim. It was filthy. The hierarchy was fucked since he was pinched for robbery. He immediately started thinking of escape plans.
I mean, workhouse is way too close to work camp. And
how old is he at this point?
Oh, well, this is 30. No, this is 47. So 1947, he's 1918, 32?
Okay.
Ish.
Our age.
Oh, yeah. He's done more things than me, apparently.
Yeah.
And he's had a bottom bitch since he was 20.
Yeah, he's been in it for a while. So his prison break involved a dummy, and his cellmate would set it up after he had skipped, because, they do the bell. I mean, they sound a horn when everything's been checked and they're locking down. So he made a slippery escape while the workers were being chaperoned back to their cells after a workday. The cellmate did a good job of propping up a dummy. Good for him. And Slim ran for it. He went to his aunt's house, which was in Indiana, about 30 miles away. At his aunt's house, he was fed, clothed, and after a week, they gave him $50 and sent him on his way. He prowled locally for a bit in Indiana, looking for where the pimps frolicked.
The Pence frolicked?
Yes, where he did it. And finds himself a woman named Helen. Now, he turned tricks for another week there and made enough money to go over to Detroit. Helen and him didn't last long, as she was a grimy bitch who knew way more about pimping than he even did. As, he is into it at this point.
When do you think your vag starts to smell like a seafood platter?
Oh, that's a great question.
I feel like that's a serious question you need to answer. As
what's funny is that the quality of someone's pimp is sort of what determines what class whore they are and shit like that. So it's the pimp that also gives the woman value and shit like that. It's a really weird parasitic symbiotic relationship at the same time and shit like that. It's real fucked up.
I mean, it is absolutely. But I think that as a pimp, you should know at what point does your hoe enter the realm of you've just paid for this woman. Here's a complimentary marinara sauce, cocktail sauce.
It's like checking your tires. You put a penny in there,
Yeah.
You see how deep it goes.
And if it goes all the way, to reach her mileage, you're going to have to cut her loose.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have the shelf life. We know about this.
Shellfish life.
So after she stabbed him during a fight, they parted ways.
Ooh.
Detroit was good for Slim. The women weren't as smart.
Well, this is like, okay, so this guy's like moving through like black history, because now like we're entering like Motown time, right? In Detroit?
Yeah, he is.
Like, so like the 50s?
He's seen it all.
That's pretty crazy.
We're on the edge of the 50s.
This is like the Forrest Gump of black culture.
Not at all. Not at all. One bit.
I mean, kind of. Fucking, he's going into Motown. No, I'm not. I don't mean this in like the fact that he's a pimp. Like Forrest Gump, like just like went.
You're telling
through history.
The way the story.
Nah, Forrest Gump got Georgia'd. He got freaking.
Well, yeah, I know he got fucked, in
and
his
then
dick.
got bilked for money later, where really Forrest Gump barely even knew what was going on.
No,
like I think actually Jenny. I don't know if it's illegal to have sex with a retard in Alabama or wherever the hell they did it, but I think Jenny's guilty of something.
I think Jenny's clitoris.
And she knew she had AIDS. Don't forget about that.
Yeah, no, God,
that's fucked up.
Post AIDS, Jenny's clitoris could get really hard and thin, and she would sound.
Oh my goodness, that's disgusting.
Oh my god,
that's a horrible thing.
I'm sure that Iceberg Slim has just done about every sexual thing you could think of with all these freaking hoses coming in and out of his stable and shit like that. How many did he end up having? What's a fairly accurate number, as far as people can tell?
So he has claimed 1,000 ish. 400 most likely is a realistic number. I don't really know, because Pimp has lies in it. It's not all the truth. Now it's a lot of truth.
A lot of the stories that I tell, man, they're not exactly true, but they're basically true. Actually, there's a lot of times that I gotta storify something because what actually happened just doesn't sound real. It's so fucking crazy sometimes. When you live a wild life like that and people are doing drugs, doing dirt, getting grimy and shit like that, people get fucking emotional. And shit can happen, and it gets pretty wild pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
Did he have a cup?
I would have a cup if I was him, because there's a lot of bitches trying to hit you.
Oh, shit. Okay. No, you gotta have a chalice.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Orb, and I'll have one of those orbs with a cross on top of it in my other hand and shit like that.
Well, the one that...
Another bitch is holding my scepter.
Well, the orb that Donald Trump and the Saudi Arabian princes touched?
And I have two more bitches holding my cape.
I'm just gonna carry. I'm gonna carry around a grapefruit with a stick in it.
Yeah,
it's good practice.
Cloves.
So he had a different tactic in Detroit. He was looking for the right ladies instead of the most ladies. It worked, and he had plenty of women. He was able to pull some money. Within 3 months, he was top pimp in Detroit, because Chicago was a lot rougher, so he was able to really work himself up quick. He wasn't crazy about Detroit, so he moved the trusty handful of ladies to Ohio. He was lucky, too, because the Detroit police had raided the red light district, and most of the pimps in the area had been pinched. So just in time. And Ohio was good for him, until one of his bitches, Serena, tried to stab him with an ice pick. Now, he shot her when she charged at him with the pick. He did not kill her, but that was the first time he discharged a firearm into a woman.
It wasn't the first time he discharged.
Well, funny enough, he was going to use an ice pick to try to kill his stepdad that beat him and his mom.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he hid under the stairs of his apartment for days, but the guy had jumped ship.
Yeah, that was after the jaw was broken. Imagine spending your birthday under some stairs with an ice pick.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
He did not kill her. That's where we're at with Serena. So Serena escapes, and Slim, with his 4 remaining bitches, left the scene and headed to his mother's house. Classic. After the heat died down a bit, he set up houses in Toledo and Cleveland, Ohio. The money started coming in, but it didn't last long. His main bitch, Rachel, was getting offers from other pimps, and he knew that she would give testimony if had the opportunity. So Rachel and him were not on good terms. He had to really control this bitch. So this is the Dave Chappelle story. The one he tells in that stand-up. Did you see that?
No, I thought you were going to say Friends with Rachel and Ross.
He tries to make that shit funny, but really it's more serious. He manages to fit like a bitch is going to join the circus joke.
It's about Friends being
it's dead
funny.
serious.
Yeah. No, that story. So anyone who hasn't heard it, Dave Chappelle tells this story, and I don't want to go into it in detail, but basically what happens is that he manipulates Rachel into thinking she has killed someone.
Oh.
And puts himself in a situation.
He hired crisis actors.
Yeah, he did a crisis actor.
Shit.
And he goes, hey, don't worry, if you stay with me, secret's safe. So that's how he's able to control her.
That's the best Secret Santa. You just open the box. You open the box.
Yeah.
You open the box. Like, you just pass around doing the Secret Santa. You just got like a box, and the inside says "Secret safe with me."
Yeah, they extended the life of the hoe by like 40%.
Yeah, I love that. It's a ridiculous story. So after this, Slim becomes a little more paranoid. He hides out in his Cleveland house for over a year of being arrested.
With Drew Carey?
Yeah, he's playing pool in the backyard for a year.
Cool.
He found out that his old bottom bitch Phyllis was in the same area and that she would certainly call the cops on him if she found out that he was there. So he skipped town and went to L.A. His ladies stayed in Ohio and sent him money. He then went to Seattle to start pimping. While in Seattle, he started sending bitches to other states to do work. He was apprehended by police when he went to collect money from one of his bitches in Montana. They found out that he was a fugitive and was sent back to the workhouse after being on the lam for 13 years.
Wow, so this guy's like real. So he's in Seattle and he's got bitches that are in Montana?
Yeah, this is my bitch Space Needle.
I'm just saying, that's a big region to control.
What year is this?
Now, is
he jet setting or is he propeller setting?
We pretty much just covered all of the 50s in the last few minutes. Like, that's what he was doing.
Oh, okay. All right.
So we're going through, and we're in the 60s now. Early 60s. He had 11 months more to do at the workhouse. Most of that time was just solitary confinement. This is what we were talking about before, how much that fucks with your head.
Yeah.
11 months of that shit will fuck with you. And it's kind of theorized that in here, this is the turning point in his life. This is when he goes, I'm going to clean up. I'm not going to do this shit anymore. I'm going to stay sharp. And when I get out of here, I'm going to go take care of my mom. He finds out his mom isn't doing well, so he's in a bad way. Mm-hmm. He also finds out that party time had passed away. Rachel figured out that the whole thing was a hoax with the fake death. Right. So he's got nothing. She's clapping.
Yeah. She's jumping in the fountain with her friends.
She's out. It's a good Friends reference, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Good clap. Slim remembered that what happened to his friend Oscar, so he makes it a point to be as busy with his mind as he can in solitary. He swore to kick drugs. He didn't want to do that shit anymore, so he gets released in 1961. He goes to Cali to be with his mother. He changes his name illegally to Robert Beck. Beck was his mother's husband's name.
And this is where the gangster guitarist Beck gets his name.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So Beck had a hard time finding square work, but refused to go back to pimping. He was tempted many times. He was bad situations. He does get some shitty jobs and helps his mom with rent. His mom wanted to see him have a family and get a nice wife, so Beck hit the diners and hot dog stands of L.A.
Wait, are you telling me that Beck is actually Guy Fieri? But
yeah, he's doing that.
Oh my god, dude!
Imagine this guy with a bowling shirt going, "Hey, be my wife."
Yeah, but it's also like white girls, so it's Beck is Iceberg.
Kind of. Well, his first.
He had a saying that was pretty funny. He's like, "There's two things that I've never seen: a pretty pit bull and an ugly white woman."
So his wife is a white woman. Her name is Betty Shue. She's from Austin, Texas, and she was in her 20s, and he was in her 40s.
Was she naked bicycling like our boy here?
No. She was not. She was a victim of
men are in church. Or some shit like that. Oh. That's the Texas way to do it, traditionally. I don't know what.
So she has a rough life, and Beck liked her enough to protect her and be on her side, and he really just wanted a wife. So during their first date, Betty got sick and Beck drove her to the hospital, where they found out she was pregnant. It wasn't Beck's kid. This was their first date. She had been, doing fun stuff. But Beck really liked her, and he decided that he wouldn't let that get in the way, and took care of her.
Oh, wow.
I guess I can be kind of a blue-pilled beta cuck at times.
Shout out to Vito.
Well, that is the right Christian thing to do, to take care of, a child in need.
Beta man! I guess the way he looked at it, too, is that, the only guy he ever loved was Henry, who had done the same for him.
Oh, you like Party Boy.
Well, I like Party Boy. I mean, he loved
Party. That was more professional. Like, Henry was family, and, he feels guilty about it because he feels like if him and his mom didn't leave him, he would have still been alive. He'd even said something along that lines, I don't think I could go on without you.
Yeah, he died, a year after she left. Broken heart.
Yeah, died from a broken heart, just like in the prequels of Star Wars.
Yeah, I feel like you guys are so well informed on the subject, so I'm just going to add some of my 2 cents, because I read the book, and it said, one of his famous quotes was, "I don't want to close my eyes. I don't want to fall asleep.
That's
because I miss you, babe."
You read the lyric pamphlet from the Armageddon soundtrack.
Yeah, I just,
This is not his book.
No, it's his book, dude.
All right. Well,
Romaine fat.
Fat-ass Romaine.
Fat-ass Romaine.
Now he took Betty back to his mom's apartment, took care of her. Beck's mom knew what kind of person her son was and warned Betty. She was square with her. Betty didn't understand. She was like, he's so nice. Why, what are you saying? He's a rotten person. So Beck told her that he would explain everything, but it wasn't the time. He wanted Betty to have the kid, take care of herself, and she was trusting enough to go along with it. Beck and Betty were a good partnership long term. But Beck never really, he didn't love Betty that much. He loved things about her. They were good partners. But it was more of a partnership than it was they were lovers. I mean, they banged, but as you do.
Yeah.
He had issues with women and really can't, he kept her around to appease his mother initially. And then it just worked out. They were together for a very, very, very long time. His mom passed away a few months after Betty moved in, and things went downhill again for a bit.
Do you think that Betty was just around to get his mother's senior discount to Red Lobster?
Dude, this guy has some mommy issues.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm just saying, because if she bails after the mom dies, for certain that 65 plus discount goes away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
it's gone, dude. 15% off, more like 50% back on.
Yeah, and let's just say he didn't fight World War II, so he's not a veteran.
That's true. So Beck became an exterminator for a company. Then he branched out to start his own business. It was an illegitimate business, but there was a lot of bureaucratic paperwork to be done. So you just start a business. It's fine. He then went through some trying times. They had their bastard son, Robin. And then they had 3 girls together, Camille, Melody, and Misty. This guy would pump out 3 girls.
Yeah.
That's karma.
Well, yeah, that's what happens. Men that are mean to women have daughters.
Yeah. That's just divine karma.
Divine as hell. Beck's being a father, but had to play it cool. Being in an interracial relationship, it was rough at the time. He didn't bring his kids out much for that reason. Race tensions were high. In the mid-'60s, LA had those race riots. He wanted in on the civil rights movement too, but he had more of a duty to his kids, where he never really put himself on the line.
Do you think, maybe Malcolm X would have taken him, but do you think that Martin Luther King would have taken a pimp like this guy under his wing? He was a reverend, right?
So, interestingly, there were a lot of people who lashed out in the civil rights movement against, Robert Beck's writing.
Okay.
So it was a mixed bag. It really was.
Right.
So when was this book published? Did he ever get any celebrity out of his books?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll get into that in a bit.
Well, there's interviews and shit where they got the honkiest people you've ever seen trying to figure out how to ask them questions, and they're flabbergasted. They don't even know what to say.
Well, excuse me, Mr. Beck. Would you say that pimping is not easy?
Kind of, yeah. That's actually... So Beck starts telling some of his pimp stories to Betty in his free time, telling wild tales of conquest, violence, filth, and Betty was enamored by these stories. This is how Beck becomes a writer, basically. Like, Betty was a key player in that. Betty suggests that he dictate the stories and she would write them down. So he knew the book. After a while, like, they start putting together this manuscript. They don't know what it's called, but they're like, this is going to sell. Like, this has a lot of potential. So he got involved with a college professor to help finish the book. But then he grew suspicious of the man when he was offered a contract that seemed a little... it seems like there was like 50-50 revenue split, but he lost like the rights to the book.
Dude, 50-50 revenue split and a loss to the rights, it sounds fucking terrible. He made a good decision.
Well, he would have been fine with just the 50-50 revenue split if the guy was just supposed to help him formulate it and make a real manuscript.
Yeah, no, but even Ghost Rider takes like 20%. Let's be real.
Well, the guy was taking advantage of him.
Yeah.
He was. I mean, the guy,
I mean, I've seen Ghost Rider, dude. It's a fucking orb. It's a fucking orb, and it floats around your house, and it's on Nickelodeon.
So Betty, this wouldn't have happened without this woman. She was hard at work. She was still scribing and editing. And Betty saw a wanted ad in the newspaper for black authors to submit to Holloway House Publishing. Now, this was his publisher for life. Not a great publisher. He probably got ripped off a bunch with royalty deals and stuff. They seemed a little shady. With that, Betty and Beck put together a manuscript of the first 100 pages of the novel. They had named it by this point. It was Pimp. The lead editor of Holloway House, a guy named Milton Sickle, read the book and sent it up to the top guy, Bentley Morris. Now, Bentley Morris saw some potential behind the gritty story and gave Beck an advance to get the book done, $1,500.
Dang.
It's a good amount of money. I don't drink. This is just very... terrible.
Tom is not drinking, and now there's a drink right next to him.
Yeah, when I'm not drinking.
This is like 2 weeks' work for one hoe, though, although he is making legitimate money.
Well, he's making this money, and it comes and goes, because even the legitimate money is him selling chemicals that he's getting illegally. Like, this is closer to going straight than...
So he's also drug dealing, too?
Well, the chemicals are just to kill rats and shit.
Oh.
Like, he makes a fake business, and he just comes as a rep, and he has, like, his friend's phone number listed.
It's part of his ad campaign. He's like, this shit is so good, it's against the law.
Right, so he's basically Roscoe, hunting down bugs in your house as a beagle.
He's like John Goodman in Arachnophobia.
Did you have those commercials in Texas? The fucking beagle?
It's a New York thing. That's only a New York thing.
We had a beagle that hunt down fucking bugs.
Bed bugs, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We always had a bunch of bugs that go like... Yeah. Actually, that was... we would say that in prison, too, because when people were just trying to basically bum something off you, like ask you for just something, just see if they could get a little something for free, you could go, and act like you're spraying them with the bug spray thing because they're trying to roach some free shit. So if you called someone a roach, is just they're broken, don't have anything. They only can use at that point. Just be like, come on, please.
Like a damn insect.
Mm-hmm.
So they get this. They get the book in the hands of Bentley Morris. They have the advance now. They finish the book, and Pimp was published in 1967, and it had some interesting cultural impact. A lot of mixed reviews, that's for sure. Pimp is the story of Iceberg Slim, which is the character he creates and he goes by in the book. It's crude, it's full of drugs, violence, all the stuff we've been talking about. The writing process was somewhat therapeutic for Beck. This is why he continued afterwards, too.
Wait, so did he get rid of the Ghost Rider? He's writing this himself? Well, he's a smart boy?
Well, yeah, he really did all the work. I mean, Betty did the writing. She was faster at writing than him.
Okay. Because you said this guy's a smart guy. Like, he's really smart.
It's not that he was...
Yeah, he's got the gift of gab.
Exactly. It wasn't that... It wasn't like a Mark Twain thing where his wife actually did all the writing.
Right.
It was...
Because, Mark Twain... that note was that Mark Twain couldn't spell or have any grammar. He just was a good storyteller.
Exactly. So Kavanaugh Slim here, or Robert Beck, he's the whole package, but it's easier for him to tell the story.
Right.
And Betty sitting there and transcribing for him. It gets done quicker for them.
Yeah, so she's basically just like a voice recorder.
He does a lot of his own writing after this point.
Right.
So he's Joseph Smithing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. And she is a big fat hat.
She's a big fat fucking gold tablet fleshlight.
Yeah. She's actually in. There's a documentary about him called Portrait of a Pimp, and I watched that, and she's alive in it, and she died before it came out. It came out in like 2012, and I guess they interviewed her in 2010. And this woman has seen some shit. Like, she is chain smoking cigarettes, just like, oh man.
No, it sounds like a full blown woman right there.
She was. I was impressed. I was very impressed. So it's not just the story; it's the writing style, the way he words it, the way he and Betty worded things, that captivates the readers. It took a year or so of being on shelves before it really took off, but it blew up, and people bought it like mad. I mean, he was able to let everything out, and man, it was a natural gift for him that he was able to put this out, because he wanted to use it as like a cautionary tale. He really does change who he is. Like, he doesn't have a lot of bad shit going on.
Right. This is like when I drink too much whiskey and I masturbate in public and I can't come. So it's like a cautionary tale to these children. It's like, hey, guess what? If you drink too much, you're not going to be able to come.
Yeah, you could look like Tom.
You could look, like me, masturbating in public.
Yeah, terrible. Terrible people.
I mean, shit like that does happen. I saw one dude in the pen, man, half of his face was like a skull tattoo. He had tattoos all over his body. He had like swastikas everywhere. It's just this time when he got locked up, he turned himself over to Jesus, and this dude like really meant it. Like, you could tell this dude was like a changed man. It can happen from time to time.
Yeah, he was that. You know, I think that's also what helps make these stories so real, is that they're not braggadocious. You know that there's like a guy with emotions and empathy behind all these drugs and like crazy character that he's doing.
So it's basically anyone that doesn't currently own a Tesla, because those people will brag about everything they have.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but it's like if you own a Tesla, but you also talk about how shitty it is to have to wait for the battery to charge when you forget to do it.
See, but that's not a Tesla owner.
Well, yeah, but that's what Iceberg Slim was if he owned a Tesla.
Right, I'm just saying that person doesn't exist yet. I'm just saying now, maybe it's coming. Maybe down the road.
They're coming. These fucking Tesla pimps are going to be out there. There's going to be whole, charging station culture where people are going to be holed over for a couple of hours, so they're going to go fuck off at a swingers club or something. Who knows what the hell is happening?
I want to get a Tesla now. That sounds fun.
Now it sounds good. All of a sudden, his appearance on the Joe Pine show in 1968 really put him on the spotlight. The host spoke highly of the masked author who he was interviewing. Bless you. He was a white dude, this Joe Pine, and the fact that he spoke so highly of this black author, it did a lot for his career. And Slim had this really elegant way of speaking, and he didn't really feel the pressure of being on TV. So that translated to him being a...
and he was masked?
He was masked for this one interview. It's a gimmick that him and Betty came up with.
Right, like the masked magician.
Just like that.
Yeah, except vaginas that are sold.
Right, and also on this interview, he was able to promote his next book, Trick Baby. Now, after the interview...
what was it? He talked about, like, someone being blue, and he's like, what does it mean? Why did you call him blue? He's like, oh, because he was so dark. And then he let the host was like, yeah, he looked blue. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah. Like, he didn't know how to deal with some of these questions and shit. How the guy was answering them.
Yeah, he set himself up. Because, like, every terminology is something that's kind of either awful or racially driven. So after the interview, Holloway House couldn't keep up with the book orders. The phones wouldn't stop ringing. He started a trend for other ex-pimps to write their stories, and many black authors started writing in a grittier tone. Beck openly praised the Black Panthers and tried. I have a typo here. What the fuck am I trying to say?
Papa Johnny.
Yeah, he tries to speak of civil rights incentives and stuff. He tries to get on their team about shit, but it turns out that the Black Panthers take themselves very seriously and publicly denounced Beck because he was a pimp.
Oh.
During the 19...
what a bunch of fucking marks.
Yeah, right?
He's like... They missed the point,
took the free publicity and clout chasing.
It's like they missed the point. He's very open about being like, I'm telling this story so young guys can straighten themselves out and not get into this lifestyle. The message that they can all agree with, but because they did it, they're like... it's that...
It seems very Today style. Like, you fucked up, and then you're trying to be like... Oh,
well, he also talked a lot about coming to Jesus and shit like that. So they could have had a problem with that because there's some Nation of Islam elements that were in the Black Power movement at the time. Sometimes it's weird seeing friction in some of these groups. Sometimes, man. I mean, I'm not saying that's what happened, but I'm saying I could see some shit like that.
I didn't know that.
As to why they denounced him publicly.
Yeah, I didn't know that Slim had the come to Jesus moment. Did you?
I didn't really find that
because I mean the Black Panthers are very like Islam.
Well, so he talks about feeling guilt on like basically like giving up on his like because he was brought up Christian young, but he kind of like he says it enough in his book where I wouldn't be surprised if he became a little bit religious whenever he got out of pimping.
Right.
I believe it. I mean, I know that there was a lot of references to that stuff. I don't really recall that.
It still feels like very much like modern days where it's like you fucked up and then you're trying to tell the world like, hey, this is fucked, dude. Like I shouldn't have done this or like whatever. And then everyone's just like, no, you're the worst person in the world. We hate you. We don't want to be associated with you.
Oh, absolutely.
But I feel like that was going on in the 60s and 70s as well.
Well, there's always angry people.
There are a lot of young black men that use this book to use the things that like are presented in it to not let the streets eat them alive.
Yeah.
And this book is really highly praised, especially like amongst people that talk about like the street life and stuff like that. Like when I looked into it a little bit, I'm like, oh damn, okay. Does everybody have this on their fucking coffee table if you're like a gangster?
Yeah, it's kind of like it is like that culture's Bible because it's really it did a lot of good shit and it did a lot of bad shit. It made it someone mainstream in a way to accept those things, and then there were people who did see the cautionary aspect of it that did clean themselves up.
I mean, they wrote the anarchist cookbook in case if the government rebels against, or in case of the people need to rebel against the government.
Right.
But then Columbine happened.
Right.
Well,
and you know.
Well, yeah. Well, the anarchist cookbook was just cobbled together of a bunch of old army manuals anyway for like to resist like communist dictators in like South America and shit like that. It was a bunch of recycled material. They just had a really good marketer.
Yeah, but I'm just saying then some guys that really like Doom in Colorado were like, let's just use this book. But you know what I mean? It's like it's non-intended.
I fucking love Doom, dude. Fucking Doom kicks ass, man.
Doom's fucking sick, man. Fucking the Caco Demon? Oh, great enemy.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a tool at the end of the day. A piece of literature is a tool.
Right.
It depends on how you want to use it. And if it's a tool worth its salt, it's going to be detailed.
Right. So back in the day, a great book could change the world. Right now, a great YouTube video could change the world. Or a great TikTok could change the world.
Changing the world one day at a time. So during the 1970s, a bunch of white feminists tried to get Pimp and the other books that he had written taken off the shelves. Luckily, their failed, trifling attempts to whitewash this cautionary tale dissipated. Luckily,
Tom, that's very brave of you.
I'm a brave guy.
Yeah,
I care about I care about communities.
Okay.
Period.
I'm glad that it wasn't whitewashed by fucking dirty feminists.
Yeah. By 1973, it was on its 19th reprint and had sold over 2 million copies.
Damn.
Yeah, he did good. After 2 novels, he released another autobiography called The Naked Soul of Iceberg Slim, in which he was kind of telling the story of his current life through various essays and stuff. 1976, Slim released an album called Reflections, which is like a jam poetry session where he recites some of his lines.
It's getting like Allen Ginsberg-y style?
It's better because there's actual musicians, not just like heroin addicts playing bongos.
No, like pedophile heroin addicts.
Yeah, it's it's better crafted. I listened to half of it and I was kind of like over it. Because I had also read enough of Pimp where I was like, I'm just hearing the same shit again. So then another novel called The Long White Con, which was a continuation of Trick Baby, which was about a con man. I think I kind of brushed over that.
I see what he did there. He could have gone con or dong. The dong would be a mysterious fictional character.
What do you mean?
The long white dong.
Are you saying Johnny Sins isn't real?
Johnny Sins is not real.
He's not real.
That's CG.
Shit.
Sorry.
I've never met him.
Yeah. No, he's CG, dude. You'll never meet him.
Have you ever been in the same room?
Is he a hologram?
Yeah, I mean...
who owns the IP of Johnny Sims? Because I bet you he's already signed that away or some
NFT,
shit like that.
dude.
Yeah. He sold the NFT to Amazon for $2,000. Yeah. Like, sure, you can have the NFT or the 3D scan of my penis.
Yeah, Bezos owns the Johnny Sins NFT.
Oh my God, that's what Bezos has been doing.
That's how he made that rocket ship. Yeah.
That's why Bezos has been looking the way he has.
That's why he cut off William Shatner when William Shatner was trying to describe the joy of the cosmos. He was like, I told him that I own the NFC to Johnny Sinza, so I got to cut him off because he didn't talk about it.
Enough, old man. You've been retired for a long time. No one cares that you like Disneyland. So Betty stuck by his side for a long time, and the two fought like crazy. He had become a rock star and was never home. He was out banging chicks. He wasn't pimping. Well, he may have been pimping, allegedly. He was giving talks, and when he was at home, he was an isolationist. Some say he picked up pimping on the side, like I just mentioned.
Like cash pimping?
Yeah, like, if bitches would just do shit for you.
Yeah. Basically what we all do today with like Uber Eats and like Uber, but he had girls that would do that for him.
Right, exactly. When you're trying to make ends meet, he really figured it out. Just do like, if you don't have to go get the bitches, you can bring them to you. They'll just show up.
Yeah,
make it happen. Anyway, enough of that.
Also, you're a world famous pimp.
Yeah, right.
There's some women that just want to be pimped. They really that's where they get their self-worth from, man. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, and us laymen have to pretend sometimes.
I don't understand.
I asked a prostitute why she was in the lifestyle at one point, and I got some really weird answers, man.
What'd she say?
Tell me a thing.
Well, okay, so her name was Nadia. And she wasn't exactly much of a looker, but she didn't look bad either. She was young enough where she could get away with it, basically. I forget how she even knew me. I think she saw me smoking a cigarette outside, and I saw her. I was like, hey, you smoke weed? And she's like, oh, yeah. I had no idea this chick was a damn prostitute making a house call.
Right.
And so she'd come over, and she'd buy, like dime bags for her Johns and shit like that. And... it was always weird because I guess she expected me to like make a pass at her or something like that. I just really wasn't interested in her and something like that. I found her interesting though because like prostitute drama is like stripper drama on crack, man.
Yeah.
Like it's drama that's so out there it doesn't even make sense. It makes them like emotionally shut down. It's kind of sad. But she was able to make a little bit extra money on the side, and we would sit there and smoke weed together and like watch like the old animated like Disney movies and shit. So, but I asked her why she was a prostitute, and basically it was because she just had a certain expectation of living, and it was the easiest way to do it.
Right.
That she could just tolerate. Like for whatever reason, she said that she didn't mind just like getting used like that because like, oh man, she told me some fucked up shit about like her childhood and shit like that where I'm like, damn, okay. This like the daddy issues are like out of control for this shit. Like it was so off the scales. I didn't even sometimes I didn't even know how to respond. But this is just sometimes the kind of people you meet whenever you're running a trap house and shit.
Yeah. I mean, at the risk of sounding like a Long Island Jew, it's always childhood trauma.
Well, I'm just saying, sometimes you don't mind being used. I mean, if I was an attractive man, I'd say my anus is ready for anything.
Hell, dude,
dude, that'd be amazing. Imagine if you just had chicks lining up, like willing to pay you a couple $100 to fuck them,
right?
Or something like that.
I think it's very different for dudes.
Like, I don't think so.
Well, then you're entering Jonathan Sins territory.
I would be surprised if John Sins...
Or Jason Lee. What is Jason?
Okay, what if
Kieran
Lee,
Mike's favorite.
What if the tables were turned? What if you met some chicks where she's like, oh, I know a lot of other housewives that are bored and looking to fuck, and then she's willing to pay you like a couple $100 a night to set up the chicks that you're going to be fucking and shit like that. I mean, that's basically what Iceberg Slim was doing.
Yeah,
except he would beat women into agreeing to it.
But like, also, I don't mind pain.
You don't like that.
Yeah, but as he got older, he looked at the violence as being an amateur. Yeah. Because as you get older, you can't just be beating chicks up all the time because you're old and you're tired and shit. How many bitches you got to beat today? You'd be lucky you can beat up one bitch when you're like 40.
Yeah, you got to psychologically fuck them.
So his next book is Death Wish, which was a mafia story. See, he did deal with mafia people. He doesn't talk about it much in Pimp, but it didn't do that well. Beck kind of gives up writing for a while, and Betty actually had to get a job because the money just slowed down so much, and they were expecting more money from Holloway House, and it just kind of dried up. Beck saw this. He was kind of. Oh, excuse me, I skipped a part. Oh, yeah, so Betty saw this, like, her working and him not working as a form of pimping. Like, she had very strict rules with him, like things you're not allowed to do. And she left him after a few fights. She's like, I'm not paying for this place.
Good for Betty.
Yeah, so she took the kids, and she's on her way. So Beck, he's alone, he's semi-broke, he's in failing health, he got the sugarfoot diabetes, and he's losing his sight now.
Shouldn't have ate too many ring-dings.
Hey, look, cocaine will actually expedite that
shit,
too.
Dude, these pimps would drink Coca-Cola with sugar in it.
Ew!
Oh, yeah, that was
so
weird.
These hoes would give them a Coca-Cola that they'd spoon some sugar in and sit there and stir it up like with a straw form.
I can't even drink Coke because it's too sugary already.
Well, have you had granulated sugar floating around inside your Coca-Cola? No, apparently it's for big pimping individuals that makes that money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, or fucking like people that do heroin, because I worked at a Starbucks in Portland, and these guys would come in and they would ask for, the weirdest one I got was 15 raw sugars, 7 pumps of like vanilla, which is just sugar, and then coffee on top of that with milk. And like literally it was a venti cup, and it was all fucking sugar and syrup, and then just like a splash.
Yeah, Junkie's got a hell of a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
Man.
It's crazy.
Oh, damn. Now he's got the sugar foot.
So he's got the sugar foot going on. It's not good. He had to pick up writing again. He was just like, fuck it, I need some shit going on. He put out a series of essays called Airtight, Willie and Me. Came out, unfortunately for him, there was an oversaturation for this writing style. Like, he had started the style, and now there's a billion people doing it.
Yeah.
So it just didn't have any traction. He also found out that there was a couple film rights that had been purchased from him or licensed, and they were all abandoned. Oh. So he's really not doing well monetarily.
With like the blaxploitation films going on right now, I mean, I feel like that would probably be fucking right up their alley.
Well, so there was one film, they made a film about Trick Daddy.
Okay.
And it didn't do that great, but it did well enough. And, he was probably ripped off there a bit. He probably got involved in a bad contract. His spending habits weren't, like, at all what they used to be. He would still buy nice things, but he didn't need to get a new pair of shoes every day. It was toned down. He ends up marrying a fan of his in 1982. Diane Millman wrote him a letter with her phone number, so he called. She started visiting him, and eventually they became lovers. She had 3 kids, so he started spending time at her house, which was good. New invigoration.
Something like pee-pee diarrhea time.
Yeah, he's taking care.
Okay.
Now, he would read chapters of his work to her. He did make a body of work that would be published after he died while he was with her, but he didn't want to do anything with Holloway House. He was over Holloway House, and legally he was obligated to give them the option to do the book. So he was in a pickle. He couldn't go to another publisher.
Right.
It was a terrible deal.
I hope we get worked into a corner with like a deal like that on this show.
This show is actually gonna do that. We're gonna launch. We're gonna work with Spotify. Yeah. And then they're going to say, oh, here's your $1 million. Just kidding. It's Joe Rogan. Going to wake you up every morning and punch you in the balls.
Hello, I'm Joe Rogan.
I can't wait. I can't wait to sell out and get all rich and attached with reality and shit like that. It looks fun.
Yeah, it looks great.
I am 100% on board with people making a gross amount of money and forgetting what humans are.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it'd be nice because apparently when you got a whole lot of money, you get called eccentric and shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it's like e-commerce, but it revolves around you.
People make up all sorts of reasons as to why someone that has a lot of money is cool.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes they have cool things, but from my experience, people who have cool things aren't always cool. Cool things are cool.
Dude, Elon Musk has a lot of cool things, but he also got Asperger's.
Cool things.
Yeah, he's really out there.
That's one of the ways that I would flex on people. I'd have something like this like I got my lighter, but it's got some 14 times refined butane. If you just hit it, it's a torch, and when you let go, it turns into a soft flame.
Whoa!
But I can hold this thing under glass for a while, and it doesn't leave any soot behind because of just how pure the butane is. And that's what I would do to like get under under weed snobs' like skin and shit like that, just to fuck with them.
Yeah,
right. Calling them out and like, just, I'm sorry, I'm making money and smoking weed. What are you doing? You're buying my weed.
Yeah,
what, you need me.
Yeah.
That's the biggest travesty of weeds becoming legal now. That's the biggest travesty of weed becoming legal now is that they've always called weed people dealers. They should have been called weed pimps. Have sex with my bud.
He was in his 60s, right? Slim or Robert Beck, as he's going by, he's in his 60s. His body is really falling apart. He's in constant pain. He's still haunted by his past, too, because now all the glamour has died. The distractions kind of died. He's got just sitting there with his thoughts. By the late 80s, he's in his own little apartment most of the time. He's still married to Diane, but he has his own little spot.
Where's this apartment?
In L.A.
In L.A., okay.
So he likes being alone. He just hides up in his little apartment, and he's got a pair of binoculars, and he's doing his people watching. That's his favorite thing to do. He can barely see, so that's even a chore. He's somewhat of a living legend in the neighborhood, as you could imagine. I mean, people would drop by to bring him weed and food and shit. When the younger kids came by, he talked to them about the life thing and tried to do the positive thing.
Right.
Because he's dealing with that guilt still, and he's laying it on thick. There's certain kids that would come by, and they'd hey, I got, I'm doing this thing. It's just like, well, don't do that. Go to school. That's basically what he was saying all the time. Go to school. Stop it.
Yeah.
But a lot more
then,
charming.
like, Snoop Doggy Dogg would be like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, he'd be like, yeah, I'm a hero. He's just like, well, go to school. He's just like, oh, I'm Pimp. He's like, have you read the book? Have you read the book?
Read my books, please.
Yeah, dog. That's what he did.
And now Snoop Doggy Dogg works with Martha Stewart selling lighters that can light your stove and joint.
That's amazing.
And other things.
Things. Yeah.
It's probably not as tight as that lighter you got right there, Adam.
Yeah, no, it definitely isn't.
Oh, well, I got fancy lighters, like fancier ones, like ones that are made in Paris and shit. Hold on a second. Like that's the Saint Dupont right there. This thing has like a bunch of diffuser coils in it and stuff like that. You can't really see that, but it has a really like soft flame on it. Huh. But having little smoking accessories, because I smoked out of like little glass pipes, and people were smoking joints and shit like that at the time. You didn't really see a whole lot of the edibles and vape carts and shit like that. I did know some people that can make hash oil, but back then the only way to really smoke it effectively that I could think of was to smoke it out of a hash pipe or a meth pipe. You can go get a puka and you drop hash oil on that thing and sit there and you look like a damn crackhead smoking that shit. But I'll tell you what, it got you fucking high.
There you go.
Yeah, I've never minded. I've never done crack once, and I currently look like a crackhead.
Yeah, you do kind of a little bit. You also look fantastic. It's a great heroin chic. Is in again.
God,
it was in the 90s.
All right, we're doing the last of this.
Yeah, finish. Kill him. We can't do. Ask me the question. Can I go? Kill him.
Sure, kill him. Let's do it that way. His kidneys are failing. The diabetes got his legs pretty bad. He loses sight in one eye. A slew of issues. During this time, actually, Mike Tyson becomes friends with him.
Oh,
he pops by. I was actually
Mike Tyson's badass.
You know how Mike Tyson got in those legal troubles for boxing with a woman who didn't consent to boxing? He tried to convince him not to do that. He was going through some woman problems, and Slim went out of his way and even wrote about this several times. He was just like, I've been trying to tell Mike to not hit women. I did it enough for the entire race. Stop it.
Oh, shit.
But he ended up doing that. Either way, Beck's final days overlap with the Rodney King riots. Something that he saw coming because he read a lot, and the low employment rates in the areas, they were skyrocketing. The black communities there were suffering. His sugarfoot got him, and it became gangrenous.
So he got that bee's foot. He got the diabetes.
He's got the shittiest foot out there.
All right.
He was taken to a hospital where they intended to lob his foot off to keep him alive. But he was at the point, he was in a lot of pain. He didn't want to do it, refused the surgery, and he died of a heart attack that night, April 30th, 1992.
That's probably a bad... I mean, I feel like, do you really want someone to lop your foot off and then be like, "You're gonna die anyway."
Yeah, dude.
Well, then you can get a real pimpin' fucking gold leg or something.
Oh, that is true. Like
then,
a pirate's peg that's made out of like diamonds and gold.
And you can bring your pimp cane anywhere to freaking smack a hoe.
Yeah.
Well, if they had caught him, maybe in his 40s, he would have done that.
Yeah.
But now, like, he's so far gone.
Mean,
like
he knows he's on the downward slope. That this is when they say it's like the golden years. I mean, really, this is where you just got to get adult diapers and your life becomes really
he's
sad.
basically at
like,
LeVar.
Fuck this.
He's at LeVar Burton status now. He couldn't do Jeopardy. He can't do Reading Rainbow anymore.
his eyes are
You're done.
LeVar Burton status. He seems pretty healthy.
Yeah, he seems healthy, but he can't do Jeopardy.
That's
People
true.
don't like him.
Can't read. It's a hoax. Oh. All right, wrapping this up. Tyson helped plan and pay for Beck's funeral while he was alive, so that was taken care of. He had enough celebrity still. 3 of his novels were released posthumously. I never know how to say this word. Posthumously.
Posthumously.
Yeah, either way, after he died. So, Tomb Fox, written in 1978.
I feel like we should know that word. Whether we do.
Yeah, I just realized that I've been saying it wrong for a while. I said posthumously for some reason, and I realized that I've been saying it like that for way too long, and I felt really dumb.
That's what I've been saying until I thought about it.
I have been,
but that's terrible because that's what we do
on the show. Yes,
yeah,
posthumously.
Yeah, and I've honestly never said it because I know I'm in the same boat as you, Adam. I'm
not a lawyer.
I am at risk here. I'm vulnerable. I'm like, I just won't say it. After he died, that's what I've been saying.
Died.
So he releases 3 books: Doom Fox, the Shetnani Sisters, Shetanies. I never read that out loud. Shetani Sisters, and Night Train to Sugar Hill. So 3 books came out after, went to his estate that Diana was involved with. There was all kind of legal battles with his daughters from
many ladies.
Oh, Betty. No, I don't think he had a lot of. He didn't have any of those. Yeah, because he pulled out a lot, and he didn't service ladies as much as you think. He probably got laid like while he was pimping. His 2 decades of pimping, he may have got laid once or twice a week because he wanted to keep distance.
Yeah, you don't want to shoot ropes in her because then she gets attached.
Also, when you're doing as much cocaine as he was doing.
Hard to shoot ropes.
You're not shooting any ropes. You're not Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's a real problem.
True. Yeah. So that's that.
Cocaine was basically the now version of antidepressants. You're not shooting ropes,
dude. I was real depressed at one point, and a friend of mine came back from the oil field with a huge fucking grip of cash, and he always spends all his money before he goes out to the oil field again, dude. And he's not back for that long. And so he comes back with a whole bunch of coke, and I'll tell you what, that got me off the couch fucking fast, dude.
Yeah.
Like, while I was hustling...
It's not going to get you off fast, though.
Yeah, well, if it was the right venue with the right people and the right vibe, man, it was a hell of a good fucking time.
Yeah, well...
I think that's what cocaine is best known for, having a great time and ruining lives.
And Ronald Reagan discreetly.
Yeah. Well, I was scared of this stuff, like, really grabbing onto me, man. So I would make sure to just not have it around. Where once I was burned through my stash, I made sure to try to make it just inconvenient enough to get more that I would leave it alone.
Yeah, that's a trick.
Yeah, you kind of have to, like, plan for your future griminess. You got to know yourself a little bit.
Yeah. You lived a lifestyle where it's probably in front of you all the time.
No.
No?
People are real wary about that stuff. Coke's a different charge.
Yeah,
as soon as you have very much of it, that's a federal charge, man. So it was never just around on the breakdown, but it was around. So if people wanted to pick up a decent enough amount and the money was 100, then we didn't have to. Then it was available. But I didn't do a whole lot of those deals. But every once in a while, I'd want to do it myself. And so, yeah, I could get it basically whenever I wanted it. Like, that wasn't a problem. And on top of that, I knew some old schools where we would, like, break it down and bring it back and make la vida, which is like the wash. And that stuff was like pure. It basically washed all the impurities that had been stomped into it back out of it. And this stuff was like real light and fluffy, and like a bump will make half of your face fucking numb, dude. It was fucking awesome.
Oh, that sounds like that sounds like what my heart does after Domino's.
Yeah. So anyways, you bring a little bullet of that shit to the club, and man, let me tell you, you are everyone's fucking best friend.
Yeah, I love being sober. That's all I have to say.
Tom, you see all these beers you've missed out on?
It's been 18 hours of sobriety, guys. Yeah. I am not having fun. You know what I am having fun with? The episode.
This was a great boy. Yeah. Thank you, Tom, for bringing this was a good one.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Adam, I hope you had a good time riding the Iceberg Simpson train.
Yeah, I really enjoyed learning about this dude. There's a lot of stuff about his story that speaks to me, man. Like, it's pretty cool.
Sure, our listeners would like that very much, hearing you speak about your experiences and stuff. And, hey, where can they go to hear you talk all the time?
Well, I have a podcast with Crippled Jesus called Who Gives a Shit, where we literally beg the question, who gives a shit? We'll take something that's happening in the news, and we'll really try to figure out who actually cares about this. And even if they should, usually not. There's some really dumb things that people give a shit about.
Yeah, I mean, every time I've listened, I'm surprised by the level of stupidity that like people fucking go into things.
And then we go through Reddit and find the worst shit that we can find on Reddit and how dumb people can be about talking about a topic. That's our To Catch a Redditor segment.
To Catch a Redditor.
I like that when you guys you bring in subjects and you make each other guess what the news outlet is.
Yeah.
I think that's a great angle, too.
Yeah, because it's so rare we ever guess it right. Because everything's the fucking same. You might be able to guess one aisle or the other from time to time, but usually it's all the same fucking tripe.
Yeah, dystopian future, robots and androids, Bezos in the cum jar.
I recently did one where I'm like, oh shit, the cyberpunk timeline is further forward than I thought it was, dude. Corporations can buy prosecutions now. We're fucked, dude.
Yeah,
it's wild stuff. So I urge our listeners, go check out Who Gives a Shit with Adam from Houston and Cripple Jesus.
Also, if you want to support us on Patreon, it's patreon.com/WGA Shit Show. Also at WGA Shit Show, we're on Twitter. I'm not really anywhere, but if you can find me on Discord, I'm usually around.
Adam from Houston, man. You're the man.
The
Appreciate
legend.
Your time. And Roast Mortem, you know all the stuff, probably.
Yeah, you don't even... I mean... Pretty much, you just go to your local grocery store and ask for one Roast Mortem coupon.
Yeah, exactly. There you can go to, they'll send you to patreon.com/roastmortemcast, where we will find a way to ruin your money. We will make you regret your purchase.
Yeah, I mean, one of these days I might just post a picture of my flaccid penis.
We're gonna
we might get booted off the platform.
No, that's all right. We haven't said that much hate speech stuff.
Oh, okay. My penis does. My penis has tattoos of racist slurs on it.
CJ doesn't mind getting spicy, man. Because it's really hard for people to argue that he is low on the totem pole for the Prussian Olympics and shit like that, so he can get away with a lot of jokes. It was his idea to make our first episode just the letter N for the first episode. I'm like, oh, come on, dude.
Yeah, he gets away with murder, and I love that about him.
Oh, yeah, man.
I want to let our listeners go. So good night, everyone. Danky Shane. Adam, stick around. We'll hang out for a bit.
Danky Shane.
Yeah, guess what? You can do diarrhea out of the front of your body. That's called what pee-pee is. And if you're a lady, you could do it out of the close to your bottom of your body. That's called pee-pee.
All right, I'm cutting you off.
Nope.
Danky Shane.
Danky
Shane.